system. From Iron Man, the counteroffensive begins. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151, Bad Friends. Late at night, Luo Wen finally spent tens of thousands of gold coins and returned home with empty hands. All the money he brought was exchanged for paper contracts in the storage space. He just had to wait for the time to come for the pawn shop to send someone to notify him to take over the inspection workshop. As for the supervision work, Luo Wen also handed it over to a steward named Chen Xinwen. At the age of 30, he was already a senior steward. It was just that his master committed a crime and he was implicated for a while. He was also sold to the slave market and bought by the pawn shop. Of course, from today on, Chen Xinwen's indenture belongs to the master Luo Wen. If there is no household registration certificate, the slave will be checked by the Yamen officials outside the city. The fate of the slave will be extremely tragic. Luo Wen believed in his own judgment and also believed that Chen Xinwen, with his determined eyes, would not let him down. However, to be on the safe side, Luo Wen still planted the god-destroying illusion on him. If Luo Wen did not lift the ban within half a month, the god-destroying remaining in his sea of consciousness would be activated, directly turning him into a soulless person. What is a soulless person? It means that all the 3 souls and 6 spirits are strangled, leaving only a walking corpse-like body. Oh, it's too dangerous here. They draw their swords and kill people at the slightest disagreement. It's too dangerous. I can't stay here for even a minute. The trembling Yan Yi returned to his residence from outside. It was hard to say that the atmosphere and emotions were in place. He was thinking about whether he could hug and say goodbye to Zhao Ran. As a result, Lianlin returned the hairpin to him with his front hand, and then he slashed his face with a knife with his backhand. Someone actually stayed up late at night to assassinate the princess of the Tang dynasty. Yan Yi was scared. He just wanted to leave this place of trouble as soon as possible. Anyway, he couldn't live in the guest house at the city gate for a day. If not, he would go to Cheng Chumo's place first. Otherwise, he could go back to the Yun family. Are you scared? Are you scared? A white feathered parrot was standing on the wooden rack in the house, as if laughing at Yan Yi's cowardice. Shut up. If you say another word, I'll stew you. Yan Yi didn't know what was wrong with this stupid bird. Ever since Luo Wen gave him the protective jade token, this stupid bird seemed to have set its sights on him and couldn't be driven away. It even mocked him from time to time. Yan Yi was really annoyed. If it wasn't for the fact that it always kept him company and talked to him, helping him to relieve his loneliness, Yan Yi really wanted to taste it himself. How delicious is this eloquent parrot? Crunch, crunch. Brother Yun, a guest is coming. Wow. Li Chengqian and Cheng Chumo, who had returned, were not only less drunk, but also brought with them 2 young men who were dressed gorgeously, had elegant temperaments, and were very noble. Haha, what are you doing? He quickly kicked his luggage behind the table. No matter what, he couldn't lose face in front of his brothers. Oh, let me introduce you to 2 new friends. This is my younger brother, Li Te. Master, I have heard of your great name for a long time. I heard that you saved my brother and are the benefactor of my Li family. Please accept my respect. Wait. I didn't save your brother. I'm too kind. Yan Yi put aside his fear and hurried forward to shake hands. This Li Te is not an ordinary person. He will not suffer any loss if he knows more about the 2nd generation of the emperor. And this one is the son of Changsan Wuji, Changsan Chang. I have heard of you for a long time. I heard that brother Yun can do medicine and make salt. I really admire him. Oh, you are so polite. Why don't you go home to sleep so late? What's going on? Yan Yi was not in a good mood. He didn't think there would be any fun nightlife in the ancient world. He just wanted to deal with these 2nd generations so that he could find a safe place to sleep. Oh, why are you sleeping so early? Go out and play. You are so confident. Don't bully me, a modern man. What kind of big scene have I not seen? Why are you so excited? Hey, Yan Lei Tower has a new batch of dancers from the western regions. Their graceful dancing and charming figures are so charming. Yes, although the technology was not developed in ancient times, the extravagant and corrupt enjoyment was officially approved. At this moment, Yun Yi's heart immediately began to heat up, and he couldn't wait to set off. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Haha, I knew that brother Yun was a fellow traveler. I was worried that you didn't like it. The prosperity of the Tang dynasty had already begun to show signs during the Zhenguan period, but the curfew system was also extremely strict. The evening drum was struck at 3 o'clock in the first watch, and the morning bell was struck at 3 o'clock in the fifth watch. That is, during the 3 hours of the second, third, and fourth watches, except for emergency situations such as illness, childbirth, and death. Residents were strictly prohibited from walking on the streets, or entering and leaving the gates. The lightest punishment is 40 lashes, the worst is imprisonment. There are 5 o'clock in the first watch, which corresponds to the time from 1900 hours to 2100 hours in the evening, and 3 o'clock in the first watch is 2012 in the evening. Before 2100 hours in the evening, pedestrians must return to their homes. And after 3 o'clock in the fifth watch, that is, after 4:12 in the morning, everyone can go out. However, in early winter, it gets dark early. When Yun Yi and several second generations arrived at Yanlei, it was only 4/4 of the evening, which is about 1800 hours. Chang Sun Chang invited guests, so he naturally booked a hall. Dozens of Western dancers with revealing clothes, high noses, and slender waists almost hooked Yun Yi's eyes. At this time, they can hang up signs in the brothels in Chang'an City to solicit customers. In the future, which one is not the level of regional beauty pageant champion? Not to mention, they are gentle and lovely, and have received professional training. These exotic beauties know how to please men. How can Yun Yi, a young man from the future, bear it? He, who always had an amazing drinking capacity, drank a lot more with the gorgeous dancers, toasting each other, and was inspired to write poems. By the time they were walking back from Yanlei, it was already past the second watch. The Prefectus Imperialis and the Yamen runners also started patrolling with long sticks in their hands. Oh, what time is it now? Why is there no one on the street? It's not curfew. It will be troublesome if we meet Wu Hao. When Chang Sun Chang mentioned the word Wu Hao, he sobered up a lot from his drunken state. Obviously, even he, a royal relative, was extremely afraid of Wu Hao. Hey, what's there to be afraid of? Don't we have the prince here? Yun Yi, who had no taboos, accepted his identity as Yun Yi, but he obviously still had a lot to slowly adapt to the living habits and laws of the Tang dynasty. Prince, forget it now. If his father finds out, you'll be in big trouble. Cheng Chumo has been on brotherly terms with several princes since he was young, but he was just mocking others. He also shuddered, as if he was very afraid of this Wu Hao. TSK, if your father finds out, you'll be in big trouble too. Alright, stop arguing here, and leave. Li Chengqian used practical actions to tell Yun Yi, who looked indifferent, that as a prince, he was also afraid of the Wu Hao. Wow, tap. Tap. The more you fear something, the more it will come. The 5 brothers here were about to speed up their pace, and a group of Wu Hao with long sticks came down the street on the other side. Wu Hao is not a specific official position, nor is it a specific person, but a general term for patrol officers. At night, as long as they catch pedestrians, they will beat them first without thinking twice. If anyone dares to say, my father is Li Gang, his father will be in trouble at the next morning court. The censors and censors are not vegetarians. Who is over there? Come out. The sharp-eyed and sharp-eared Wu Hao always said that they couldn't see clearly because it was too dark after beating someone. As a result, when they patrol at night, they all have clairvoyance and super hearing. Yun Yi's footsteps were just a little heavier, and those Wu Haos ran towards them in unison. Oh no, this is bad. If they catch the prince staying out all night, we will all be in trouble tomorrow. Then what should we do? I'll go and lead them away first, and go separately. Without saying much, the situation was critical. Cheng Chumo screamed, and ran out with loyalty. Hey, come and catch me, come quickly. Kinka is so drunk, that she can't run away. I will take brother Yun to lead the rest away. Cousin, Kinka is in your hands. Come on, I'm here, come and catch me. Damn it, Yunyi refused in his heart, but Li Chengqian, who was skilled in martial arts, would not allow him to resist. He put his hand on his shoulder and went to show loyalty. Chapter 152, Ledger. Ha ha, we'll fight them. If we keep running like this, my lungs will burst. Ha. Yunyi's face was covered with sweat. The fine grape wine he had drunk before was wasted with sweat. In the dark alley, only the moonlight could barely see the surrounding buildings, and people could tell which was the street and which was the residential area. I'm fine, can you? In terms of alcohol tolerance, Yunyi might be better, but in terms of recovery, Li Chengqian, who practiced martial arts to strengthen his body, was of course better. After running for half an hour, except for his slightly heavier breathing, his face became more and more clear and bright, and he became more and more energetic as he ran. Not to mention that he was carrying a burden. Otherwise, with his physical fitness, how could the two panting Wu House outside the alley keep up with Li Chengqian's pace? Snap. Yunyi picked up the broom in the corner as soon as he said it, and Li Chengqian looked around and chose a more convenient pole. 1, 2, 3. Hey, hum. At the critical moment, Li Yanlin appeared from nowhere, still dressed like a child of the underworld, with a green dress and hair tied up, holding his special straight knife, and pulled Li Chengqian back as soon as he appeared. Hey, sister? Li Chengqian was close to him from the first sight, and later, after they had a common life and death friendship, he became more reserved, and kept saying sister. Hey, it's so late, why are you here again? Before nightfall, Yunyi was stimulated by Li Yanlin, so he ran out to have fun with a few new second generation people he met. Unexpectedly, he met him again in the alley a few hours later. You ask me. I want to ask you, why are you still hanging out outside so late? Li Yanlin held the weapon and acted like an older sister. Haha, I wanted to take brother Yun to visit Chang'an City, but I was so excited that I forgot the time. Ha. Li Chengqian's face tightened. As the eldest son of the Li family, it was the first time he had this strange feeling of being cared for by an eldest sister. For this reason, he cherished it very much. However, it was obviously not easy to tell her about their trip to Yanlei Tower tonight. With a slight thought in his mind, he just made up a random excuse. Yes, hey, it's too late. Going to a brothel is not what a good man should do. Although this is the social atmosphere, which decent woman would accept a man who lingers in a brothel? What's more, if he missed the curfew by going to a brothel, and then the black history of being punished by Wu Hao was publicized. Even if Yunyi was not pursuing Li Yanlin, he had to think about his future reputation. Oh, really? Are you so tired after walking around Chang'an? Li Yanlin expressed disbelief, although her eyes were full of suspicion. However, as a princess who was about to meet the emperor, she sneaked in from outside the city at night, which was still a violation of the curfew. She actually avoided the streets and walked in the alleys. At this time, everyone is the same, so don't laugh at others. Oh, don't say so much. Let's think about how to get back to your residence safely. Yunyi's mouth was dry and his tongue was dry. His legs were weak, and he couldn't stand steadily. If he hadn't been holding a broom, he would have sat down on the ground. Plop. Li Chengqian, who was born in the royal family, didn't care about his image as a prince at this time, and sat down on the steps in the corner. It was obvious that he was guilty and nervous and stimulated a lot. Yunyi saw this, and found that there was a step behind him. He followed suit, and sat down happily with a long sigh of relief. If he had known that violating the curfew was so serious, he would have come out to go shopping during the day. It's all TV dramas that mislead people, saying that they can have fun at night. It's dark and people can't see clearly. The girls in Yanlei building told him that they will start to open for business after the daytime. From now on, it's best to come during the day. Sure. You guys wait slowly, I'm leaving first. Under the moon, the beautiful figure is dancing. Li Yanlin no longer cares about the two sneaky guys. He leaps and taps his toes a few times, and flies over the eaves and walls, performing Qigong and leaving this place of trouble. Oh, yes, then I'm leaving too. Wow, sure. Fortunately, the fabric is the best brocade. Li Chengqian took a breath, and was about to fly over the wall, but was pulled back by Yunyi from behind. Hey, what do you mean? You all know King Dang. What should I do? He is obviously a fellow villager of the immortal master, and he claims to be a disciple of Hoenn Zenren, but Li Chengqian almost forgot that Yunyi has no martial arts at all. There seems to be some movement over there just now. You go over there and take a look. Another Wu Hao chased after him, and at this time a new Wu Hao team joined the search, and the situation became critical again. What should I do now? If I'm caught, I will inevitably be punished by my father, and you will be unlucky too. Well, hey, I have a way. Hurry up, take off your clothes. Two grown men, in the dark alley, began to strip each other's clothes. What? You slang Guyang's good to disgust the searching Wu house? Of course not. The two just took off their coats, and wore white deep clothes that could not be seen from their identities, similar to the later autumn clothes and autumn pants, or pajamas. They lay on the ground, and began to smear black mud on each other's faces. Although it was a bit smelly, in order to avoid danger in an emergency, the two did not care. Suspicious, dirty, the handsome young man who was originally rich and elegant, in this way, instantly became no different from a beggar. Walking through the streets and alleys, Yunyi, with the help of Li Chengqian, crossed a high wall and finally temporarily avoided the pursuers in the alley. Snap, ha, Chengqian, next time I will never go out with you at night. This is too scary. Just after climbing down from the top of the wall, at first glance, this should be the backyard of a wealthy family, pavilions, and stone lanterns lighting up the courtyard, lawns, flower beds, and green trees dotted among them. Zeng. Late at night, in the courtyard of the yard, there were actually two pink and green girls in the shadows. One was half sitting, and playing the piano. The sound of the piano was like the sound of a clear spring. Pleasant and very enjoyable. The other should be a personal maid, adding oil and serving. Miss, why are you in such a good mood today? It's so late. Why don't you go to bed? Humph, it's all because of you, you little girl. How can you be so frivolous and talk nonsense in front of Mr. Luo? What if Mr. Luo is disgusted? This courtyard is the backyard of the Lu mansion, and also Lu Zenayu's home. In the sound of the piano, there is the shyness of the girl, and the inexplicable changes of emotions. The girl's superb piano skills have integrated all of these into the sound of the piano, which makes the two lechers who climbed over the wall intoxicated, and reluctant to turn around and leave. Oh, this is not a place to stay for long. Chengqian, let's go. Wait, let me finish listening first. Damn, what time is it? No matter how beautiful the piano music is, or how beautiful the beauty is escaping unimportant. Li Chengqian, with his obsessed eyes, can't care so much. Yunyi pulled him to urge him to leave, but the prince, who was in a state of soul and spirit, couldn't take his eyes away. Let's go. Can't we come to visit again tomorrow, after we clean up? Hey, don't pull me, let me. Who is hiding there, sneaking around? Come out quickly, or I'll call someone. The courtyard is not very big, and the noise made by Li Chengqian and Yunyi is a bit loud. Azi just scolded, and Lu Zinayu, who was full of thoughts about her daughter, also became nervous and alert. No, we are not bad people, girl, don't call for help. Two people with black mud on their faces, and in a mess, waved their hands, and walked out from the wall. However, no matter how much they smiled, with their dark faces, it was impossible for people to have a good impression of them. Hiss, miss, are they the Kunlun slaves from the western regions? It seems a bit like them. Chapter 153 Misunderstanding. Who are you, and why did you run into my house so late at night? Lu Zinayu has always been self-possessed and steady, and she can keep a calm mind in the face of things. However, the two people were dressed thinly, with dark faces and agile bodies. Hey, they had their hair in a bun, and wore long boots on their feet. They didn't seem to be Kunlun slaves, but a bit like refugees fleeing from the disaster. Miss, we have no choice but to do this. Can you save us? Seeing the girl in the skirt in front of him, she looked very kind. Yunyi nodded and bowed. No matter what, he couldn't just come to Chang'an and be arrested and punished before he got the emperor's reward. Do you want to eat? A miserable look made the kind-hearted Lu Zinayu's emotions overwhelm her reason. Of course, she had the same idea about the refugees in front of her and the orphans in Bixianfang. She just wanted to do her best to help them get through the darkest moment of their lives. Food? Oh, yes, yes, we've been hungry for 2 days. Miss, please be kind and give us something to eat. We'll leave right away after we finish eating. Gurgle. Maybe because he had been running all night, Yunyu's stomach also cooperated and made a wailing at this time. The key is that the host has helped to give an excuse, so how could he not use it? Azzy, go and prepare some food for them. I think they may really be in trouble, so they have to resort to this desperate measure. Oh, Yu Niang, look at them sneaking around. You can tell at a glance that they are not good people. It's okay, you see they are so hungry, how can they have the energy to do evil? Yeah. Yunyi was as honest as he could be, while motioning Li Chinqian to pretend to be pitiful with him, grinning foolishly. Miss, it was indeed wrong for us to climb over the wall, but we wanted to find some work in Chang'an City, but the city was robbed before we even entered. We've been looking for a job for 2 days and still couldn't find one. Look, my brother is so hungry. Miss, please, give us something to eat. Plot, please. Save a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Li Chenqian and Yunyi's words and acting skills are all first class, especially when it comes to fooling a simple-minded young girl in the boudoir. That's even more of a piece of cake. Oh, you get up first. Alas, the Tang dynasty has been engaged in continuous wars, and the people are suffering. Now people are like frightened birds. It is difficult to have enough food, let alone money to do business. You come at the wrong time, Azzy. Yu Niang, you are the kindest one. If we are bewitched and deceived by them, how can we deal with it? It's okay. Grandpa always taught us to help the poor and the needy, and not to make this matter public. Go. Oh, I get it. In the bright candlelight, Lu Zenayu's body seemed to be surrounded by holy light. Not to mention Li Chinqian, who fell in love at first sight. Even Yunyi, who was pretending, felt guilty at this time, and secretly sighed that such a kind-hearted woman was really rare in the world. Come with me. Creaking, she walked slowly and gracefully, with a refreshing fragrance on her body, which made the two men behind the girl feel relaxed and happy. While silently appreciating and enjoying, they also held their heads high and looked straight ahead, pretending to be gentlemen. Lu Zenayu was doing good deeds and had no other thoughts. She led the two people to the utility room in the backyard. There were all tables, chairs, benches, tools, pots and the like in the backyard. Snap. Azzy held a bronze lamp and placed it on the square dining table in the utility room. The dark utility room was brightened up. The doors and windows around were intact, but there was a musty and dark smell in the house. However, it was much warmer here than outside. I'll excuse you to rest here first. It's late today, and you didn't come in the right way. How could you be seen? Lu Zenayu frowned slightly, and was in a dilemma for a moment. This is her home, unlike Bishi and Fang. There are countless famous families who come to visit Grandpa every day. If outsiders see this, how will they describe our Lu family's door style? Oh, girl, don't be too embarrassed. You are kind, and we brothers are very grateful. This is good enough. Well, then I'll get you some water to clean the dirt on your face. You sit down and wait for a while. Since she had agreed to help them, Lu Zenayu also used words to motivate herself. A person with a clear conscience is not afraid of his own shadow. Then she took Azzy out together, prepared clean water and food for them. With a click and a creak, she closed the two wooden doors and gradually disappeared in the corridor. However, Li Chenqian's eyes were fixed on the back of the woman who disappeared in the night, revealing an obsessed smile like infatuated. Hey, Chenqian, hey, are you looking silly? What are you doing? Don't look at me, my eyes are staring straight, and my face is dark. Don't scare the little girl, haha. My face is so dark because of you. Look at yourself, it's darker than mine, haha. The crisis was resolved, and they accidentally ran into the backyard of a wealthy family. The beautiful and sweet-voiced lady not only did not despise them or yell at them, but was also kind-hearted and provided them with a place to stay and food. The two unlucky guys who went to the brothel at night and violated the curfew were shocked and overjoyed at this time, and they felt that a blessing in disguise, and felt that today's experience was really too exciting. You two both know King Gong, and you flew away in a flash, leaving me all alone. Aren't you harming me? Haha, I forgot that you don't know Kingang. I'm sorry. Oh, forget it. By the way, wash your face later. It won't be too late to wink at other girls. Hey, how can you talk like that? When did I wink at anyone? Oh go, you were like that just now. Your eyes were straight, if not winking. What was that? Go away, go away. What do you mean straight? Which eye saw me winking at you? I saw it with both of my eyes. Don't talk nonsense. People will misunderstand. Click. Here is clean water. You wash yourself first, and I'll bring you the food. Loser Nayu never does good things casually, but does them herself. She brought a wooden basin and a white cloth to the two of them, and then she turned around and walked out in a hurry, as if there was something waiting for her in the kitchen. Thank you, young lady. Just bring it to me. Thank you, young lady. Wow, such a humble and friendly woman. If Yunyi hadn't known that this was the Tang dynasty, he would have rushed up to ask for her phone number. And Li Chengqian had a vague intuition that this woman must be destined with him. Handsome features, white face like jade. They are not refugees? The two washed their faces and wanted to leave a good impression on the girl at leisure, but Loser Nayu saw the handsome looks of the two people, but she became alert, because these two people were obviously not people in trouble from outside the city. Loser Nayu is innocent and kind-hearted, but her vision and common sense are far beyond that of ordinary girls. You, Ozzy, give them the food. Knowing that she was deceived, Loser Nayu's face turned cold, and she didn't let the two leave immediately, but asked Ozzy to put the food she made by herself on the table. Oh, thank you so much. Snoring. Li Chengqian stared at the girl, unwilling to take his eyes away, and this made Loser Nayu feel even more disgusted, thinking that the two people must have ulterior motives. But now that things have come to this, she only hopes that the two lechers can keep their promises and leave by themselves after eating the food. Brother, try it quickly. The girl's cooking skills are really good. Hey, it's just that the taste is not good enough. Yunyi was really hungry, and he didn't take it as an outsider. He sat down and ate and drank as much as he wanted, but the meat soup noodles were a little lighter, and he was a little uncomfortable with it. He reached out and took out a bag of fine salt that was wrapped in oil paper from his arms. The middle finger lightly tapped the scattered white dots on the table. Loser Nayu had been on guard for a long time. At this time, as the pure salty taste in her mouth dissolved, she became more and more sure that the two people were of unknown origin. Who are you? Why do you have such exquisite things? Chapter 154. The more you describe, the worse it gets. Oh, you mean fine salt, right? Here, I have some more. Take this pack as my reward for saving your life. Haha, Yunyi, who was smiling, was used to the flattery brought by the halo of salt making master, and was also used to seeing Loser Nayu's surprised expression. He generously took out another pack and slapped it on the table, indicating that he wanted to return the favor. Humph, such things should belong to the palace. Why do you have them? Are you thieves? After all this time, isn't she surprised, then full of admiration, and more intimate? This beautiful woman is suspicious of their identities. No, girl, please listen to our explanation. Yes, we are really not bad people. Yunyi was so anxious that he didn't care about enjoying the food, and Li Chengqian was even more flustered to explain. At this moment, there was another noise outside through the courtyard wall. Did you find anything here? No, they probably ran to the houses and hid. It seems that the people they are looking for outside should be the two thieves in front of them. Okay, don't say any more. I don't want to hear what you did. Please leave quickly, or I'll go call for help. One hand blocked in the air, and the other hand protected the chest. Loser Nayu's whole body revealed distrust and vigilance towards the two of them at this time. Oh, this. Okay, let's stop talking. Let's leave today and explain later. Li Chengqian was flustered. He was fine just now. Why did it suddenly take a sharp turn? Yunyi pulled Li Chengqian and hurried outside. Compared to explaining to the girl why they came here, of course, the woo-how outside was more terrifying. Now they were trespassing, which was a heavier crime. It was more important to escape. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ha, I'll let you leave through the back door. Whatever happens next, it has nothing to do with me. Click. RZ opened the bolt, and Li Chengqian was very unwilling to see that his good relationship was about to end. Wait, I can't repay the girl for her kindness today. Please use these silver coins to show your gratitude. Click. Li Chengqian was overwhelmed by love despite the misunderstanding. He took out the purse from his trouser pocket. Why did the Tang dynasty have trouser pockets? He had to ask Yunyi. He was going to take money to repay the favor, which was undoubtedly adding fuel to the fire. Lu Zinayu blamed herself in her heart for not taking them in the first place. As for the purse that was brought out from the ground, Lu Zinayu picked it up quickly. She always had a familiar feeling. This was not made by herself. You came out of Yanlei Tower. No, girl, let me explain. No, this. Yunyi, who was eloquent, had a mouth, but didn't know where to start. This is what I sold to Miss Hangluo. How did you get this? Breaking into private houses, telling lies, visiting brothels at night, and stealing tributes. The image of these two people was undoubtedly extremely bad in Lu Zinayu's mind. This is a keepsake I brought with me. It contains a touching story. I'll tell you when I have time. That's enough. No need to flatter me. This sachet is what I sold. I don't care what story it has. Since it's in your hands, please keep it. RZ, get out. She angrily threw the purse back to Li Chengqian. At this time, the two of them really felt like yellow mud fell into their crotch, and they couldn't explain it clearly. More importantly, they did go to Yanlei Tower and did lie. Although they didn't have sex with anyone at Yanlei Tower, and the purse was obtained by reciting poems properly, but time doesn't allow it now, and there are too many misunderstandings, so it's really hard to explain for a while. Go quickly. I said you are not good people, and you dare to deceive our lady. Go quickly. Picking up the crossbar, RZ drove the two lechers who couldn't explain themselves out. Lu Zinayu, with a look of self-blame on her face, walked back to the courtyard quickly. Hey, girl, listen to my explanation. You really misunderstood. Go. After going around in circles, Li Chengqian and Yunyi were stranded on the streets full of dangers again, but their moods were very different at this time. Because they met Li Chengqian's dear Lu Zinayu by chance today. She has delicate features, graceful demeanor, gentle and kind temperament, and plays the piano well. By the way, her cooking skills are not bad. All kinds of rumors are not exaggerated, but the real person is better than these outsiders' evaluation of her. Li Chengqian's heart is already firmly attached to Miss Zinayu, while Yunyi squatted behind the stove in the stall, staring at the patrolling Wu Hao with his head stretched out, and he was extremely anxious. He still had to go to the palace to meet the emperor tomorrow. If he didn't sleep at night and went to the palace in a listless state, wouldn't he be laughed at, and would he disappoint the expectations of grandmother and the people who care about him? Hey, can you stop being intoxicated? Our crisis is not over yet. A slap on the shoulder of Li Chengqian, who was in a wandering state, finally woke up. The night was as cold as water, and he felt a deep chill on his body. Hiss, so cold, so tired, so sleepy. Wow, clatter, clatter. Suddenly there was a sound of horse hooves on the street at the end of the alley, and Li Chengqian was alert after seeing the mark on the carriage. Quick, brother Yun, we are saved, follow me. In the night, except for Wu Hao who was busy searching, all the streets and alleys were already quiet, and everyone was sleeping soundly. Some people violated the curfew and played hide and seek for most of the night, but they were safe and sound. In the end, they finally returned to their residence, cleaned up and washed, and waited for the summoning the next day. Some people, however, were diligent. Secrets, old things, twists, and turns, true and false, and it was difficult to judge the truth. But none of this has anything to do with Luo Wen. He sits cross-legged in meditation, focusing on his danshan. His mind and spirit are unified. The golden elixir in his body slowly rotates, making the spiritual power flowing through it more condensed. The newly transformed spiritual power, whether from the outside world, from the flesh, or from the mysterious sea of consciousness and golden elixir, is all integrated into the meridians, tempered by the golden elixir, and then flows through the whole body, circling back and forth, endlessly. His cultivation is also slowly improving, and his physical fitness is constantly strengthening. It's just that he has no idea about the breakthrough of the great realm for the time being. However, the early stage of the golden elixir is not full, the middle stage has not arrived, and the late stage, the peak is not known how long it will take. Cultivation is easy, with energy affinity, it will always be full over time, but the next great realm, the further you go, the more difficult it will be. Luo Wen can only take it one step at a time now, and plan slowly later. Chapter 155 Class. Mr. Luo, where should we start today? I don't know if it's because of the lack of energy on her face, a little red, coupled with the paleness. Luo Wen's face looks very strange. Sir, we want to learn how to make a rice bubble machine. We want to learn that one. Yes, sir. Please teach us that one first. The oldest is only 11 or 12 years old, and the youngest is only 6 or 7 years old. You little brats still want to take over the processing machinery right away. I'm afraid it's a bit too overestimating your own abilities. Can you hold a mold and recognize a measuring tool? Miss Zinyu, I have prepared breakfast in the kitchen. If you want to learn the knowledge I teach, a healthy body is essential. You can eat breakfast and lunch here every day. The 3 rooms in the front yard are all empty. Luo Wen spent some time last night to prepare for today's class. He changed the main house into a classroom, the left wing into a canteen, the right wing into a restroom, and the front yard into an activity space. As for the courtyard in the middle, it is the operation room. This is not good. The classroom in the front yard has a flat wooden floor. Unlike the common practice of wealthy families, it is not painted with tung oil to make it shiny. Luo Wen carved a rune array on it. First, it can prevent slipping, and second, it improves the physical fitness of children. It is also to enhance the effect of class, and has the effect of calming the mind. On the simple and plain floor, there are low stools and desks, 5 horizontal and 4 rows, a total of 20 seats, and the last row is empty at this time, which means that there are only 15 students in class today, including Xianan. As for Luo Wen, as another life teacher of the children, she is now sitting on the right side of the lesson plan, just in time to see the courtyard outside the door and the closed door. You don't look very good. Did you not get enough rest last night? Without waiting for Luo Wen to respond, today is our first class. What I want to teach you is not how to make instruments and equipment, but numbers. Luo Wen wanted to change the traditional Chinese characters to simplified Chinese, but this is undoubtedly a waste of time. Thinking that it would not be too late to change it for the next batch of students, he just let it go. However, the numbers written in traditional Chinese are undoubtedly not suitable for recording data, nor are they suitable for the scientific subject that emphasizes efficiency. We know how to write numbers, right? Yes, sir. Why do you still need to teach us this? Be quiet, it's not time yet. Everyone get familiar with the environment first. We will have the formal class later. Miss Zinyu, Miss Az, follow me. When they heard that there was no class for the time being, a group of little kids who were sitting upright immediately scattered in a noisy manner. Mr. Luo, can you cook too? Luo Wen, who was a little listless, covered her little mouth, but her face was flushed with surprise or astonishment, or because Luo Wen greeted her with special concern, and she looked very cute and beautiful. Unlike the clumsy stoves of ordinary people and those kitchen utensils that are very laborious, Luo Wen is used to doing things by himself, so the first thing he did after moving in addition to renovating the atrium, was the kitchen, which was the most important thing. He tried to adjust and renovate it according to the standards of modern society. The range hood and gas stove use fire array instead of gas, and the knob can adjust the firepower. There is a stone stove, alloy kitchen utensils and knives. There is also a water tower with a pump installed. The whole courtyard has a faucet, and the kitchen is of course no exception. The cups, plates, and bowls are all exquisite and delicate ceramics. The mountains, rivers, insects and birds painted on them are like works of art. It is hard to believe that these are ordinary containers. This, and these, and why is your kitchen so different from other people's? All the utensils are new to you, Niang. Wow, these plates and bowls, the paintings on them are so beautiful and exquisite. Sir, are they not for eating? Luo Wen was a little drowsy, but after entering Mr. Luo's nameless residence, she seemed to have awakened, and felt much more relaxed. Now she walked to the back kitchen, which was still whirring, and the range hood sucked the hot air from the steamer out of the house. Seeing all kinds of novel arrangements and tools, both of them were excited and full of doubts. All the questions were stuck in their throats, but they didn't know where to start. Ozzy was much bolder, looking here and there. In addition to being afraid of breaking these exquisite utensils and not daring to use them directly, she seemed to have adapted to Mr. Luo's house after the stimulation of the new things yesterday, and there must be more strange things. These things will be very convenient to use. I will teach you how to use them when I have time. This one contains the cooked osmanthus paste. This is the steamed cake I made, and there are also steamed dumplings. These are 1000-layer cakes. I don't know if they suit your taste. You can give more suggestions later. Luo Wen opened the thermos bucket and steamer one by one and pointed them out to them. Seeing their cautious appearance, Luo Wen also demonstrated in person, saying that these things are of very good quality and durable, and they should not be too cautious. It smells so good. It must be very delicious. Yang, how great it would be if our family also had such a dream kitchen. Okay, hurry up and take the things to the front. We still have to go to class later. Envy, amazement, big eyes full of looking, and Lu Yu, after all, has received the teachings of a big family and abides by the constraints of etiquette and told Ozzy to work quickly and stop acting like a country girl who has never seen the world. Hey, wait a minute. In Woomingju, you have to wash your hands before and after meals. The two girls must strictly supervise the children to follow it. Wash your hands before and after meals? Wow. White water stream shot out from a silver metal tube, and Luo Wen also stepped forward to demonstrate, and then motioned for the two to follow suit. In ancient and modern times, there is not necessarily a difference in thinking, but hygiene, convenience of life, technological innovation, and education are all very different. As for medical skills, this is going back the further we go. Modern medicine may not be as miraculous as ancient Chinese medicine. Millimeters. Delicious. Delicious. Really delicious. Oh, this is the first time that Xiaonan has eaten such delicious food. Slurp, no matter it is the delicate steamed cake, or the fragrant Xiaolang bao, or the soft and crystal osmanthus paste, or the rich 1000-layer cake, each one is a new delicacy that these poor children have never tasted in their lives. And it is not just these children. Lu Yu and Daisy also have eyes full of brilliance, looking at Luo Wen sitting at the table with everyone, full of admiration and amazement. Sweet, salty, fresh, fragrant, and the taste is even more varied. How are these foods made? Sir, you are really extraordinary, and you have such cooking skills. I'm afraid that the food of the Emperor is not as good as what they are eating now. Today is the first time for everyone to come to class. These foods are the teacher's welcome gifts to you. In the future, you have to make breakfast and lunch by yourself. This is also part of the course. Do you understand? Mr. Luo, the children are still young. How about letting me and AZ prepare it? Luo Wen waved his hand gently. I have been able to do it since I was a child. I believe they can do it too. A gentleman should stay away from the kitchen. Where does this fallacy come from? Luo Wen doesn't believe it anyway. As the heaven moves forward, a gentleman should constantly strive for self-improvement. If you can do everything, isn't it better than anything else? Ordinary people have limited energy and limited ways to learn. Luo Wen can't control those ordinary people. But since he is a teacher, he also has his own set of standards. At 9 o'clock, the dishes in the cafeteria were washed by the students themselves and placed on their own wooden racks. The trays and thermos buckets were taken to the backyard by AZ to be washed. Anyway, she always follows Yu, and it doesn't matter if she comes to class a little later. Snap, Luo Wen knocked on the long table podium in front of him with his knuckles. Today's learning task is very simple. There are 10 numbers and time nicknames. I will check them next time. Yu sat upright in her seat. It seems that he doesn't need to emphasize the discipline in class anymore. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are simplified numbers. There is no difference in reading them, but they are written more simply. I think it should be easy for you to understand them. This. Okay, since there is no problem, then the next item is based on the 12 hours. The time is 24 hours, 1 hour is 60 minutes, and 1 minute is 60 seconds. This will also help to sort out the vague hours, quarters, and dots, and even more messy timekeeping methods. The instrument on the blackboard is called a clock. It is made according to my new timekeeping method. The short hand is the hour, the middle hand is the minute, and the long hand is the second. The numbers correspond to time. I will teach you to recognize time. I will check the things I taught in class today next time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, Yun Yi's Protective Jade Plate. Sir, my aunt is waiting for me outside. Someone from our Yun family is coming back today. With pigtails tied, Xiaonan was reluctant to leave, but the elders at home had told her to, so she had to ask for leave from the teacher. Oh, then you can take this cake home to eat. After you go home, you must practice diligently. I will check it in class the day after tomorrow. Taking out a food box, Luo Wen put the steamed cake he had made in it, and then handed it to Xiaonan. Although this little girl is only 11 years old and has been wandering outside for many years, she is quite smart and has the most serious attitude towards learning. Luo Wen naturally likes such a cute and obedient student very much. Thank you, sir. Xiaonan has made a note of it. Sisters in Niu, Xiaonan is going home first. Well, be careful on the road. Since your family is back today, you can come to the Fangshang for class tomorrow. Thank you, sisters in Niu. Goodbye everyone. The well-behaved and polite Xiaonan greeted his friends again, and then jumped out of the door of the uninhabited house with the food box. Doing things is like being a person. If you are a good person, things will go smoothly. Although cooking is tedious and boring, when you enjoy delicious food, you can make yourself and others feel a sense of satisfaction of sharing happiness. Luo Wen said softly in the kitchen, and those children who were struggling with the dough on the operating table also nodded and shook their heads as if they had realized something. Be calm, peaceful, and serious, and many problems will be solved. There are always more solutions than problems. As long as you think and dare to try, the world will become more exciting. Older children need larger doughs, and younger children need smaller doughs. Compared with the peaceful times in the future, the children here are clumsy and undisciplined. The attitude of the children here towards food is extremely cherishing. Xinyu and Daisy also felt comforted and satisfied in their hearts. In the past, they were just two people, and they were not much older than the children. Teaching them piano, chess, calligraphy and painting was still okay, and providing them with food and accommodation was the result of Lu Xinayu's painstaking efforts. If she wanted to give them a better future, or provide them with more learning options, Lu Xinayu was also powerless. The key is that she has always been quiet and gentle, and rarely serious. In this way, while the children like her, they are inevitably less afraid and respectful of Mr. Luo Wen. Looking at Luo Wen, who is serious on the surface, but gentle in essence, Lu Xinayu's heart is about to melt. Especially after the bad experience last night, those two lechers, relying on their self-righteous handsome looks, thought they could do whatever they wanted. But when it comes to Master Luo, no, how can they be compared with Master Luo? Oh, but, there are only a dozen children now. If I take in more in the future, Master Luo should not blame me, right? Zhu and Yunai to see the Emperor. Yunai was summoned by the eunuch, and walked into the Golden Palace, leaving only Lianlin, who was dressed in gorgeous decorations and full of anxiety, waiting alone for the Zuan to see. Oh, if I had an autograph for each of these historical celebrities in the court, wouldn't people envy me to death when I go back? Hello, haha, hello. Wearing a modified ancient costume with his toolkit and medical kit on his waist, Yuna looked at the civil and military officials in the hall, and his eyes were shining. He was just a simple-minded man, and he was shaking hands with people to show his goodwill. In the eyes of the civil and military officials, he might be an uncivilized barbarian, right? He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and a dignified appearance, but he was too ignorant of etiquette. Kneel down. Cheng Yaojin changed his armor, put on a red court robe, and held a court tablet in his hand. He looked a bit more like a scholar, but he could not read a word, so he must have been just pretending. Kneel down. Wearing a golden dragon robe, and sitting high in the hall, Yun Yi did not think that Li Shimin looked so extraordinary. On the contrary, he looked like a handsome middle-aged man, elegant and magnificent. He could not see clearly through a large pool of water. After Cheng Yaojin reminded him again and again, Yun Yi reacted slowly, clasped his fists and bent his knees, half knelt down. I'm Yun Yi, the commoner, and I pay my respects to his majesty. Haha, haha, to legs, Yun boy. Cheng Yaojin kicked him. He was used to this way of teaching, but now is different from the past. In the world without a Luo Wen, Cheng Yaojin kicked him without any malice, and kicked him. But here, under the watchful eyes of the civil and military officials of the court, and the Emperor of Tang sitting high in the hall, bang! With a loud bang, Cheng Yaojin was flung to the wall dozens of steps away, but fortunately, Yun Yi, who was full of astonishment, had a circle of golden light on his body, which was just an automatic counterattack. According to the strength of the attack, he would make different degrees of counterattack. This time, he only used the lowest level of means, and Cheng Yaojin, who was horrified, slapped his butt, and didn't dare to walk back for a long time. Protect the Emperor. Protect the Emperor. Wow. Dong dong. Dong dong. When had the civil and military officials in the court ever seen such a strange scene? They could understand martial arts and ordinary light body skills, but they were afraid that Yun Yi was an assassin who took the opportunity to assassinate. Wait, this? General Cheng had sent me a letter before, saying that Yun Yi was a disciple of an immortal. It really opened my eyes. Really opened my eyes. Haha, all of you should withdraw. The golden armored imperial guards walked out in unison again, and the ministers whispered to each other, looking at Yun Yi, who stood up, no longer looking down on him and feeling superior. Gilu, Wash, who was standing next to the Emperor of Tang, was wiping the sweat rolling down his forehead with his sleeves. Today, Cheng Yaojin just kicked lightly, but what if he had used a knife to chop yesterday? I dare not think about it. I dare not think about it. Alas, the immortal's methods are really too terrifying. General Cheng, are you okay? Yun Yi's eyes suddenly filled with tears. Brother Luo, you are so good to me. However, this protective jade token seems to have no other function, except protecting me from harm from others. You still have to flatter and please. Facing the playful smile on Yun Yi's face. Oh, don't move. I'm fine. I'm not at all. Haha, it's so satisfying. Cheng Yaojin finally let down his guard, and walked back step by step. However, he was still afraid. He dared not get too close to Yun Yi at a distance of 1 meter. Being injured is a small matter, but losing face is a big matter. All the civil and military officials in the court saw that he fell so badly today. Who knows how they will laugh at me after the court is dismissed. Cheng Yaojin's worry was totally unnecessary. All the civil and military officials were now concentrating on the immortal light they had just seen. In their minds, they were imagining all kinds of legends about immortals, such as immortality, riding on clouds, climbing mountains and seas, and turning beans into soldiers. They wondered which of these things this Yun Yi could do. Chapter 157 Destiny. Yun Yi's identity as a disciple of the immortal, as well as his contribution of the method of making salt, were confirmed and affirmed. But there was a problem with Li Anlin. Royal affairs were related to the face of the country. Moreover, no one dared to guarantee that Li Anlin's identity as a princess could be confirmed with just a Mohis token. Blood test. Unfortunately, Li Anlin's blood might be used to save Li Chenqian, but it happened that the blood test with Emperor Tang failed. The blood formed a clot and refused to mix. In the court, it was like a vegetable market. Emperor Tang did confirm that Li Anlin looked exactly like his former woman Shan Ruolan, but just because she looked like her mother, did he, as the father, have to be her biological child? As the common lord of the world and the most powerful man, Emperor Tang did not directly order the evil seed to be hacked to death on the spot, which was considered open-minded and caring about the old feelings. Fortunately, Yunyi, who had an idea, compared the blood of Qin Kaiang and his son Qin Huoyu, and used the blood type to prove that, even if the blood of the closest relatives is not compatible, blood transfusion can save lives. Who let the Prime Minister Wei Zheng make Qin Kaiang, who was suffering from an old illness, vomit blood in a few words. With this condition, Yunyi also plucked up the courage to give it a try to help Lianlin. Besides, at most, he could take out the identity of immortal disciple. What can these mortals do to him? Yunyi made great contributions again, and helped the Tang Emperor find his imperial daughter. And when someone makes contributions, naturally someone will be unlucky. For example, the imperial physician who was determined to drop blood to recognize relatives was ordered to be executed by the Tang Emperor. The charge was that he only knew how to follow ancient books, but could not use them flexibly, which made him almost miss his biological daughter. Yunyi gained the friendship of a group of generals, because the first person he came into contact with was Cheng Yaojin, and he used the blood transfusion method to save Qin Kaiang's life. When he was sent back to the Yun family by Cheng Chumo, Yun Qian was implicated during the Sui dynasty, and the Yun family had already fallen into decline. The bloodline withered and fled, and lived incognito. However, now, because Yunyi recognized his ancestors, and the Emperor of Tang planned to use the family bloodline to restrain this immortal disciple for his own use, he ordered to find all the descendants of the Yun family. For example, Mrs. Yun, Xiaonan, and other orphans and widows. It was just a family of old and young, except for women. It was women. Yunyi looked at the dilapidated large courtyard, and his heart was mixed with emotions. As Yun Buki, he is a descendant of the Yun family in later generations, and Yunyi is his ancestor. But as Yunyi, is it his destiny to have this trip? Otherwise, the Yun family only has him as a male. Without him, Yun Buki in the future will disappear. Yunyi fell into a thought trap. He only felt that traveling through time and space meant breaking the timeline. He ran madly. He wanted to go to Yunyi's tombstone to find an answer and a way home. After riding for several days, he found the stone tablet in the northwest desert again. The handwriting on it had long disappeared, and in the sand, except for the backpack he buried, there was no trace of the ancient tomb. Hairpin, statue, Yunyi, Yun Buki, who am I? I want to go back, let me go back. His physical fitness was too poor, and he was struggling with his mind. His thoughts were not smooth for a while. Yunyi's eyes went black, and he fell directly on the sand. However, Cheng Chumo, who followed him closely, was indeed the best candidate for a good friend. Not only did he accompany him to run for nearly 1,000 miles, but after he fell into a coma, he took him and the backpack back to Chang'an City together. Yunyi was going crazy, and Lianlin lived alone in the palace. Because the award ceremony was arranged by the Tang Emperor on the same day, before the princess was decided, she was just an unknown person with no one to take care of her. Yunyi, who was dizzy, finally woke up under the stimulation of the spiritual power of the protective jade pendant. When he opened his eyes, what he saw was not tall buildings or the hustle and bustle of traffic. Brother Yi, you're awake. I scared you. You must be hungry after sleeping for so many days. I'll go make you some food. Lie down, lie down. Captain Cheng, I'm really sorry to trouble you. I'll do it for you. Hey, Grandma, what are you doing? Yunyi and I are friends who have lived together for life. What I did is nothing. Oh, good boy, you guys chat first. I'm going. Pa, why did you sleep for so many days? I wasn't as exaggerated as you when I went to the battlefield. Cheng Chumo had memories after all, and he slapped Yunyi's quilt. He didn't dare to touch him, otherwise who knows if the immortal magic weapon would bounce him away too. Has the prince been here? His voice was hoarse and his eyes were lifeless. Yunyi's mind was blank at this moment. He was answering subconsciously. In fact, he didn't even know what he was saying. Not only the prince, your aunts and sisters have been here many times. They just left not long ago. I'm sorry to have made you worry. Hey, although I, Cheng Chumo, am a rough man, I really treat you as a brother. If you don't wake up today, I will really become a big sinner. Okay, I'm fine. Oh, where are you, brother Luo? I'm really scared now. I seem to be looking for someone to talk to. If I really can't go back, what should I do in the future? Even if you don't think about yourself, you have to consider this big family, right? Cheng Chumo's words were like a flash of lightning, illuminating the dark heart of Yunyi. Yes, whether he can travel back to the original world or not, the family members in this world are also surnamed Yun. As a descendant of the Yun family, he has the need and obligation to protect them. Moreover, he is now Yunyi. If he cannot have children and leave bloodline, he will be wiped out by the time paradox when he returns. Grandma, you have to take good care of these potatoes for me. Whether the Yun family can get rich in the future depends on these little things. At dusk, Yunyi finally changed from a caterpillar to a lively and energetic real man, not physically, but psychologically. Because he understood the words responsibility and obligation, it was as if the daring grandson suddenly woke up overnight, which made old Madame Yun feel very relieved. The future of the Yun family depends on this only seedling. Okay, the men of the Yun family will work hard outside, and you can rest assured to leave the family affairs to Grandma. Grandma has done a lot of work over the years. Well, Grandma, we will work together in the future, and we must carry forward the Yun family and restore the glory of our ancestors. Yunyi has changed, but he has not changed. His actions are still unruly and frivolous, but his spirit reveals a belief, the belief of perseverance and hard work. Woo woo. Okay, Grandma will listen to our brother Yi. Brother Yi will be the pillar of the Yun family in the future. Chapter 158 Spark Square. Luo Wen can build modern industrial machinery by hand, so he can do more than just a little bit. Yun Buki relied on a salt maker and a novice first aid kit to gain a foothold in the Tang dynasty and live a rich life. Of course, Luo Wen didn't know yet that Yun Buki had returned to his roots and transformed into Yunyi. And Yunyi was more than just the above 2 points. He brought back a bag of potatoes from afar. His cooking skills improved greatly, and he made many friends. He had a group of good close friends and his own experiences. A spark can start a prairie fire, so he named it Xinghua Fang. Luo Wen thought of his fellow villager Zhao Huang, so after opening his own factory, the main products produced were cloth, daily hardware, glass products, paper, and daily chemicals. There was no food involved. In particular, the refined fine salt was only used internally. The production method adopted is mainly mechanical, supplemented by manual labor, including spinning machines, looms, machine tools, high-pressure furnaces, pulping machines, and 10,000-ton hydraulic forging machines. The scale of Xinghua Fang is very large, occupying most of the area of Pinggan Fang. It has also undergone emergency renovations, and the previous houses have been opened up for expansion. Luo Wen also dismantled the machinery and equipment at home into parts at night, and then transported them to Xinghua Fang for assembly. According to different functional designs, Luo Wen also added and optimized them. In the process of assembling instruments and equipment, the smart teenagers recruited by Chen Xinwen, basically between 16 and 18 years old, all followed the boss to participate in it throughout the process. For these people, Luo Wen not only taught them the basic mechanical principles, but also personally trained them, so that they could become qualified mechanics. In this way, when the operators come in later, even if Luo Wen is not here, Xinghua Fang can still operate normally. The raw materials of cloth can be cotton, linen, silk, and even the raw materials can be reused to make paper. The cloth produced by Luo Wen is not only divided into ordinary and high-end types, but also involves other aspects, such as medical gauze, waterproof cloth, and fireproof cloth, and daily hardware, such as kitchen utensils, scissors, screwdrivers, sewing needles, metal pipes, pressure-rid pumps, and farm tools. From easy to difficult, from simple to refined. Now it is just daily hardware, but as long as Luo Wen wants, he can produce higher standard parts at any time, and then assemble them into guns. Daily chemicals not only have soap, laundry detergent, and shampoo, but also come with a perfume workshop. And this seemingly ordinary daily chemical department produces gunpowder without ambiguity, and it is also high explosives. Paper is relatively simple, but it is large in quantity and low in price. For the people of the Tang dynasty, it is a complete welfare product. Just to solve the pollution problem and the energy supply problem, Luo Wen had to cheat and use the gathering spirit burning array, giving up the original plan to buy charcoal. All pollutants must be refined first, even sewage will be turned into raw materials to keep the entire spiritual power array running. The heat energy produced by the array is to drive the steam turbine and provide a continuous source of electricity. After half a month of uninterrupted arrangements, and Luo Wen occasionally rushing to work all night, the 200,000 square meters of Spark workshop was officially built. Basically, except for giving the children a 2-hour science enlightenment class on odd days, Luo Wen spent all his time in the closed management of Spark workshop. A workshop with more than 500 people, even if it is an ancient workshop, is a great business. After replacing it with a modern factory with extremely high efficiency, all driven by electricity and machinery, Luo Wen made the industrial assembly line that should not appear in this era cross the timeline and bloom in this dark feudal era. Beat not clang. Clang, don't be nervous. Follow the instructions of the boss, and do your job. If you have any problems, report to your superiors in time. Do you understand? Chen Xinwen's heart has been silent for a long time. During this period of time, every day seems to be a lifetime away. He originally thought that he would lose his civilian status and could only be a slave for generations. But not long ago, he was bought by the boss Luo Wen and told about his duties and was responsible for the construction and completion of the workshop. He thought it was just an ordinary small workshop. He never thought that it would be so large now, with those large metal machines and those automatically running transmission devices. What kind of power is it, and how incredible is the generator room? Yesterday, the boss tore up Chen Xinwen's indenture. The boss said that he needed a dedicated manager, not a slave who obeyed orders. From that moment on, Chen Xinwen secretly swore in his heart that he was willing to die for the boss in this life. It was not because the boss promised him a high salary, nor because of the management responsibilities he was given, but because the boss did not treat him with a superior attitude. Although a strange man like the boss should also be suitable for doing so, but the boss did not. Instead, he was friendly and treated the most ordinary apprentices equally, not only giving everyone an extremely generous salary, but also giving everyone respect and taking good care of all aspects and carefully considering them. For example, every 1 hour, which was half an hour in the past, the new wall clock that can be seen at each workstation in the factory, the boss stipulated that all guys must rest for 20 minutes, and those mobile personnel will take turns. I heard that Xinghua Fang will work day and night in the future. Once the remaining land of Pinggan Fang is purchased and built into an employee dormitory, the current 8-hour work system will be replaced by a 24-hour work system. The workshop of more than 500 people will be expanded to about 2,000 people. 3 meals a day, work clothes, vacations, and material distribution are all the most generous things the workers have never heard of. Think about it, which merchant or boss in Chang'an City would let his men work only 20 days a month, and how could they only work 8 hours a day, not to mention that 3 meals a day are included, and the monthly salary is settled at the end of the month. In Xinghua Fang, all personnel have their own salary levels. Level 1 operators, apprentices, monthly salary 10 strings. Level 2 team leaders, junior management, monthly salary 20 strings. Level 3 workshop supervisors, intermediate management, monthly salary 40 strings. Level 4 general managers, senior management, currently only Chen Xinwen has 80 strings of monthly salary. Above him is the boss Luo Wen. How much money he makes, the people below can't imagine. The monthly salary of an ordinary level 1 employee is already the annual salary of a county magistrate, and Chen Xinwen is even more comparable to a second rank official, and this is his monthly salary compared to others' annual salary. With these generous conditions as a foundation, how to teach the workers of the entire Xinghua workshop not to be blindly obedient, for fear that, if they slack off, this good thing from heaven will be out of their reach. Got it, Manager Chen, we promise to obey your arrangements. Standing on the high platform, Chen Xinwen spoke loudly, his mouth still trembling, probably because of excitement, and the many workers below were also at the opening ceremony, their faces flushed and full of energy. When Luo Wen saw this, he nodded to Chen Xinwen and signaled him to continue. Now I declare that the Spark Workshop is officially open. Boss, after purchasing raw materials, the money in the account has been basically exhausted. If the first batch of products is unsellable, I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on in the first month. Chen Xinwen held a mobilization meeting for all the workers and turned to walk into the office building of the workshop. This is a 3-story wooden house structure located near the gate separating the workshop from the residential area. Everyone entering and leaving needs to pass through here. The first floor is the reception. There are 2 young men sitting inside, responsible for counting and distributing labor protection supplies, and also responsible for receiving external guests and buyers. The second floor is for personnel, data statistics, procurement, logistics and other related civilian personnel. There are only 2 rooms on the 3rd floor, as well as a large reception room. Luo Wen is the boss. Of course he has his own office, and the other one is Chen Xinwen's. Didn't I produce various samples yesterday? How did those salesmen respond? Luo Wen sat at his desk calmly, temporarily putting down the drawings and pencils in his hands, and quietly listened to his subordinates' work reports. Oh, they went out early this morning, and haven't come back yet. After all, we are in the corner of the West Market. Chang'an is such a big capital, and there are countless merchants scattered in the East and West Markets. I'm afraid they won't be back until noon at the earliest, no, before 12 o'clock. Chen Xinwen still couldn't react in time, but it was also because he was too excited to start work today. Okay, that's okay. The raw materials purchased this time are enough to guarantee half a month's production. In half a month, are you still afraid that no one will come to buy our products? Luo Wen has this confidence only because the comparison is not of the same order of magnitude at all. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as a dimensionality reduction attack. Take the simplest kitchen utensils as an example. Luo Wen uses high carbon alloy. Even if it is chopped against the standard tang sword in the army, Luo Wen's is better. The key is the mass-produced forged knives. How can the quality of those hammered by blacksmiths be comparable? Not to mention, the design and appearance are optimized, the quality is surprisingly high, and the price is half cheaper than that on the market. The ones who should be worried are the small handicraft workshops in the city. Then, won't the blacksmith shops have no way to make a living? They can come to Xinghao workshop to work. It pays well, and requires little work. Isn't that good? Chapter 159 Yun County Man. You saved the prince from danger and presented the method of making salt. You are awarded the first class merit and are specially conferred the title of Baron of Lanshan County. You are granted 200 mu of land, 2 dun of millet, 2 dun of corn, 10 pieces of silk, 1 stallion, and 5 cakes of tea. The imperial edict is as on the right. The master shall execute it. On the Golden Palace, civil and military officials were arranged on both sides. Yun Yi, who was dressed up and looked like a decent person, knelt down on his knees and accepted the title conferred by the Emperor of Tang. But after Wash had finished reading, Yun Yi was still confused. After such a long time, saving people, helping to find the princess, and handing over the method of making salt, he got an honorary title of Baron, which sounded worthless. What millet, corn, silk, tea cakes, how much is this? There are a bunch of people in the Yun family, young and old, and so many mouths to feed. How can this be enough? It's only 200 acres of fiefdom, and there's a stallion. It sounds good, but 200 acres, 1 stallion, isn't it too little? Yang Xianan, are you accepting the order? Wash didn't dare to look down on the young man kneeling on the ground. After all, he was a disciple of the immortal. Seeing that he was distracted for a long time, he just called him softly. Oh, that's it. Oh, forget it. Yun Yi had made full preparations in his heart. Seeing that there was no gold, 10 beauties, etc., he also patted his knees. Thank you, your majesty. He stood up from the ground, took the imperial edict, and quietly retreated to the side of the military officer. The Zhenguan period of the Tang dynasty can be said to be the beginning of a prosperous era, but compared with the cognition and concepts of modern society, the prosperous era of feudal society is nothing more than a rhetoric of peace, stability, and no danger to life. The borders of the Tang dynasty were in turmoil, and the people in the whole territory were hungry. The population was growing slowly, and the science and technology, medicine, agronomy, and infrastructure were not even comparable to the Sui dynasty. The registered population recorded by the Ministry of Households, including slaves, was less than 8 million households, which was converted into a total population of about 70 million, less than 100 million. After the war at the end of the Sui dynasty, the population of the world decreased greatly, and the foreign enemies were blocked outside the borders by the generals of the founding of the Tang dynasty. The sparsely populated territory of the Tang dynasty can be said to be in ruins, and everything is full of spring, and is in the stage of rapid development. The system and infrastructure left by the Sui dynasty were all taken over by the Emperor of Tang. He did not need to do better. As long as the current situation was maintained, the Tang dynasty would be enough to achieve the name of prosperity. As the second son of the founding Emperor Li Yuan, he killed his brother and father to ascend to the throne. The Emperor of Tang finally worked hard to govern the country, and he was a humble wise monarch. In the 10th year of Zhenguan in the Tang dynasty, that is, in 636 AD, Luo Wen came to this world for the second month, and November was about to come. According to the time calculation, the day he traveled through should be the first day of September. Now it has been a light snow, the daylight is getting shorter and shorter, and the weather is getting colder. When everyone speaks, there is a white mist in their mouths. Except for the Xinhua Fang, where cars come and go every day, there is a scene of bustling activity. Those ordinary families have already burned fires to keep warm, or they have closed their doors and reduced going out. Every object with the word Xinghuo, whether it is used or used, is far superior to ordinary items, with reliable quality and convenient use. For example, snow paper, which is as white as snow, and is widely loved by scholars, such as the Luo Wen series of perfumes, which are deeply sought after by brothel girls, ladies from noble families, and noble women. Although this perfume is only a small bottle, which is only enough for a few months, it costs 10 strings of coins for one bottle, and a series costs more than 100 strings of coins. Ordinary people naturally cannot afford it. But whether it is a high-end series or an ordinary kitchen knife, as long as it is marked with the word Xinghuo, it is the certification of the best product. Although it is simplified Chinese, everyone gradually accepted and adapted to it after the explanation of the internal staff. I heard that there is also a 24-hour system, a new type of timekeeping tool for sale. Whether in terms of accuracy or clarity, the Clepsydra Corona is far from being comparable. A smallest fist-sized pendulum clock is priced at 1 guan of money, and the largest table clock is priced at 10 guan of money. Although the price is expensive, as long as the family has the conditions, they basically buy one. Those tea houses, art galleries, brothels, merchants and inns are not to mention. The government offices in Chang'an all follow 24 hours. To clarify the daily curfew time. How can those businessmen not be flexible? Suddenly, as if a spring breeze came over pass, thousands of pear trees blossomed. Sparks, like a prairie fire, soon spread to every corner of Chang'an city. Boss, according to your instructions, all the new winter clothes have been distributed. 3 sets per person, sign, and fingerprint to claim them. Although literacy classes have been opened, how can the literacy rate be improved so quickly? Not to mention that the new employees who have just arrived have just adapted to the factory rules and have not completed their on-the-job training. So how can they take care of literacy classes? Chen Xinwen has now received his first month's salary, which is 80 strings of cash per month. His food, clothing and daily expenses are very different from before. His face is ruddy, and he always deals with major businesses. His demeanor is becoming more and more extraordinary. However, in front of his own son, he is still very respectful and dares not overstep the mark. I have checked the records in the account this month. The expenditure was 108,000 taels of silver, and the income was 259,000 taels. The payment for the raw materials for next month has also been settled. Very good. I'm very satisfied with your management, Manager Chen. Luo Wen showed a comfortable smile on his face, stood up from his seat, stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. All the money was paid, and the goods were delivered at the same time. No credit was given. Moreover, Ping'an Fang has now been completely taken over by Xinhua Fang. Even the fangs who appointed by the government has been taken over by Chen Xinwen. As for how to move and reg, Luo Wen did not ask, and Chen Xinwen did not say much, because these were just trivial matters. It's all thanks to the boss. Now all the workshops are running normally. The workers are becoming more and more skilled. The efficiency is almost reaching the standard set before. We estimate that we can start working at full capacity next month. Oh, have all the workers been recruited? Hasn't the staff dormitory just been built? Haha, the boss doesn't know that the name of Xinghua Fang is now well known in the whole Chang'an city. The purchasing officials in the palace come to us to reserve goods, and those merchants are queuing up to get the goods. Recruiting workers is even easier. Just for 3 meals a day, a large number of refugees come to apply for jobs. Before I even posted the recruitment documents, our gate was almost squeezed down by people. There are many poor people, isn't it like this? Okay, then starting from November, we will implement a 3-shift work system every day. You have to pay more attention. There are many people and many things to do. Remember safety first. Well, you go to the dental shop and ask them to recruit 2 more managers to help you share the responsibilities. They will also be under your jurisdiction. I will come less and less in the future. Thank you for your trust, sir. I'm grateful to you. Chen Xinwen was ready to kneel down to express his gratitude, but he hesitated again when he remembered his master's repeated emphasis that Xinghua Fang would not allow this. Okay, I know your loyalty. As the chief steward, you just need to take good care of Xinghua Fang for me. These empty formalities are fine. Yes, sir, I will remember it. Luo Wen took out all the gold coins and worked hard for more than a month without sleep or food. Now he can finally hide behind the scenes. In more than a month, not only did he recover all the costs, but he also made a lot of profit. Although this month has just started, and only 1 shift has been opened for production, and the efficiency is not up to standard, but the adaptation period has been almost completed so quickly, Luo Wen is still very satisfied, thinking that he can make a fortune next month, and make hundreds of thousands of silver dollars a month. A sense of satisfaction arises from the bottom of his heart. Ta-ta, ta-ta. Along the smooth marble road, the entire factory area is also equipped with tall bright street lights. Luo Wen seems to have the illusion of returning to his original worker. Hello, boss, are you going home? The time is already 17:30 in the evening, and there are patrols around the entire factory area, both as security guards and to protect the finances and secrets of Xinghua Fang. Guarding the gate is a small team of guards, a total of 10 people, although each of them is strong and sturdy, with a Xinghua straight knife tied around his waist. But when they saw Luo Wen walking out of the door, they immediately straightened their attitudes and lined up in a line to wait for inspection. Keep working. It's cold at night. Remember to wear more clothes. Yes, thank you for your concern. Waving his hand, Luo Wen continued to walk out. It was already past the time to pick up the goods. It was very quiet outside the gate, and there were not many people. This was originally the southwest corner, except for the workers of Xinghua Fang. Basically no outsiders would pass by here, not to mention that there were self-operated shops in the workshop, providing daily necessities at affordable prices. Hundreds of workers in the early stage suddenly became rich, and have not formed the habit of spending outside the workshop. Those workers who came in later were even more feeling the changes brought about by the novelty and different factory regulations. In addition, they had no spare money. What were they going out for? It was dark outside. If they missed the curfew, they would be fired from Xinghua Fang. How could it be like this workshop, with bright lights and warm spring-like comfort? The night was as cold as water, and the sky was extremely grey. Luo Wen walked through the streets and alleys of Chang'an City and soon returned to his residence in Bixianfang. However, there was a man standing in front of the gate, a man with gorgeous clothes and a high crown. Brother Luo, it's me, Yun Buki, you made me look so hard. Wue. It's not that fate will bring us together, right Zhao Huang? Brother Luo, can you give me some face and stop calling me Zhao Huang in the future? I'm now a noble, and I was personally appointed by the emperor. Yun Ye, who opened his arms and wanted to hug him, was stopped by Luo Wen. He touched his nose embarrassedly and then eagerly put his arm around his shoulders and moved closer. Luo Wen did not stop such behavior. Just don't hug him. Chapter 160. Things are different now. Oh, so now you recognize your own ancestors, change your name to Yunai, and become a favorite of Emperor Li Shimin of the Tang Dynasty? After listening to Zhao Huang, Yunai, talking about his achievements and changes during this period of time, Luo Wen was also somewhat surprised and curious. Haha, compared with brother Luo, this is of course far inferior. By the way, Xinhua Fang is the business you founded, right? The whole court is asking around. Even the Crown Prince Li Chengqian often comes to me to inquire, but you didn't want to wait for him to wake up and left. I guess you don't want to have anything to do with the royal family? Yunyi saw the word Xinghuo. Of course, he was not unfamiliar with the simplified Chinese writing. On the contrary, he still couldn't recognize many characters in Tangshu and Tangzuan, and was in a semi-illiterate state. You are asking knowingly, are there already simplified Chinese characters at this time? As for the prince of the royal family, I don't mind it. I just don't like the so-called aristocratic class. Forget it, you are a baron now, so I will call you Yunyi from now on. Luo Wen hopes that everyone will be equal. Although he is not powerful, he has never given up such pursuit. Oh, by the way, how is Lianlin? Has she been recognized by the Emperor of Tang and canonized as a princess? Luo Wen invited Yunyi into the middle courtyard. The main room is both a bedroom and is separated by a wall screen. There is a study and a living room. No, let me pour it myself. If it weren't for the protective jade token you gave me, I'm afraid that the nobles here would have ignored me and bullied me at will. Yunyi saw that Luo Wen was still so gentle and kind as always. He quickly snatched the kettle he was pouring water from and started to do it himself. As for Lianlin, I feel that she is having a miserable life now. Except for her biological father, everyone in the palace treats her as an outsider. I heard that she had a conflict with other princesses a few days ago and was punished to kneel outside the imperial study and was also spanked on the hands. There was an indescribable tenderness and pity between his eyebrows, and a trace of sadness was clearly displayed in Luo Wen's eyes. He was deeply in love with Yunyi. Had he really fallen in love with her? Well, she was a female swordsman who wielded a sword in the world, but now she has become a golden bat trapped in a cage. I don't know what her reason is. However, if you have any ideas about her, I'm afraid a little county boy is not enough, right? Haha, brother Luo, you are joking. Even if I really want to climb up the social ladder, I have to rely on the other party's willingness, right? However, brother Luo, you have to protect me in the future. I shouldn't talk nonsense and say that I'm a disciple of an immortal. As a result, the protective jade token you gave me has confirmed this identity. I don't know any magic or immortal skills. So many people are waiting for me to show them my skills. Yunyi, who was smiling happily, seemed to have a lot of feelings during this period. He spoke in a literary and ancient style. However, it is estimated that it will be difficult for him to change his unrestrained and self-familiar habit. Let's talk about these things later. The protective jade token is a gift I gave you. You haven't even asked me to repay me, and you still want to come to me for everything? Luo Wen waved his hand. Although he regarded this guy as his fellow villager, he didn't say that he would be his father or mother, clearing away obstacles and paving a smooth road for him. Why? Brother Luo, I'm so embarrassed. I suddenly come to you to reminisce about the past, but you give me banknotes and gifts, which makes me seem even more stingy. Yunyi came to find Luo Wen, not only to relieve his worries, but also to keep in touch. Of course, if the generous brother Luo wanted to give him something, he would gladly accept it. As for traveling through time and space and returning to the afterlife, just study it slowly. I don't really care. As for Lianlin, which is related to the necessary conditions for your time travel, you'd better keep a normal mind. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. You'd better study hard and make progress, and find a way out for the Yun family. You are like a fish in water in the court, but that's because you are still useful to people now. You can take advantage of the time difference to fish in troubled waters. If you brag too much, one day you will be sent to the battlefield, or sent out to be an official to improve people's livelihood. You'd better be careful with this half bucket of water. What Luo Wen gave away were just some worldly possessions. Anyway, he brought back 200,000 taels of silver notes from Xinghuo's shop today, so he didn't mind giving Yunyi 10,000 taels. As for the various samples at home, and the things he had researched and trial made, they would be given away. He was alone, and didn't need them. Brother Luo was right in reminding me. I thought so too, but it was all Chen Kan's fault. He insisted on dragging me to be his military advisor, saying that it was to solve the problem of Shandong scholars who were unwilling to serve the country. He also sold me out, and said in front of the emperor and the empress, that I liked Lianlin. I have been annoyed to death these past 2 days. Yunyi has a lot of things to say, but he has never mentioned them to anyone. However, Luo Wen, who is like his own brother, especially the expert who has extraordinary abilities, as soon as he appears on the scene, he has established such a huge industry after only being in Chang'an for more than a month. He admires Brother Luo even more in his heart. If Brother Luo is willing to serve as an official in the court, I'm afraid that the position of Prime Minister would be underestimated. Don't tell me about these things. Love between men and women is not only a waste of time, but also disturbing. You can handle it yourself. It's already late today. I'll visit your elders next time when I'm free. Is there anything else? A straight man. This handsome face is wasted. Okay, I'll take my leave. Brother Luo, it's really great to see you in Chang'an. Haha, go back soon. Yunyi was able to find Luo Wen because of Xiaonan. Usually, he seldom communicated with the younger generation in his family. He would only bring some food and snacks to share with a group of children after he was busy outside during the day. But the oldest one, Xiaonan, became more and more well behaved and mysterious. Her words and deeds seemed to be influenced by him. She even made jelly by herself and asked her family to taste it. Yunyi then asked and found out that she had been taking classes at Wumingchu in Bixianfang. She had just become a disciple of a teacher with extraordinary abilities. Not only was she handsome and graceful, but she was also very young and even more capable than his brother. This teacher was called Luo Wen. I have so much money, but I don't know how to spend it. Let's go to Yanlei Tower first and buy a few young maids. Yunyi, who was carrying large and small bags in both hands, was in high spirits and humming a song as he strode into the gate of the Yun family. Come out, and see what good things I brought back for you today. Wow, click, creak. The aunts, grandmothers, and the young children of the Yun family who had recognized their ancestors, all women, surrounded Yunyi, helping to carry things and greeting him. The old house of the Yun family, with the charity money and servants sent by Cheng Chumo and Li Chengqian, was finally tidied up and looked suitable for living. However, all expenses and costs, except for the 200 acres of land with fixed rent, Yunyi was extremely tight, and the family was also living a very difficult life. Wow, snowcake. And is this the latest Luo Wen series of perfume? Wow, isn't this the new sketchbook from the master's house, and there are colored brushes. Oh, the chattering women were all around Yunyi, asking questions non-stop, and the silver bills in Yunyi's arms made him feel confident and full of beautiful yearnings for his future life. Chapter 161, in a good mood. Hey, even if my mother accepts you as her disciple, you don't have to laugh so happily, right? As soon as he walked out of the imperial study, Li Chengqian couldn't resist his curiosity and asked the question that had been puzzling him inside. Although he solved the trouble of the Shandong Confucian scholar and didn't have to go to the border to guard the border, Yunyi didn't have to laugh so proudly that he couldn't even close his mouth. You don't understand. Now I don't have to marry an underage girl, and I have an additional identity as the queen's disciple. Anyone who dares to laugh at me in the future will have to think twice. Although Yunyi felt that his secrets were exposed and his thoughts on Lianlin were also exposed, it seemed that the emperor and the queen didn't seem to object very much. But these were far less refreshing than knowing the whereabouts of Luo Jen. Huyan Zhenren is fake, but Luo Wen's Xianxi is real. The key is the reputation of Xinghua Fang. Even the emperor and the queen just mentioned that they were very curious. They said they would find time to summon the strange man behind it. Now, even if Luo wants to hide behind the scenes, he may have to show up. By the way, I met Miss Xinhu again in Lu's mansion today. It seems that her impression of us has changed a lot. Do you think I should strike while the iron is hot and express my feelings to her? Well, if you like someone, you should say it boldly. I support you. Haha, Yunyi, you will go to the military camp tomorrow. You have to cook a big meal today, otherwise I want Uncle Cheng to deal with you. Li Chengqian pity his eldest sister's difficulties and is very concerned about her lifelong happiness. The key is to match Yunyi and her, and Li Chengqian is also happy to see it happen. I find that sometimes you are really like your father. You always like to act pretentiously. Yunyi, stop right there. Your Majesty, the city of Chang'an has become more and more lively recently. Although the weather is cold, the situation is getting better and better. She was graceful and elegant, wearing a phoenix crown, and her every word and action was full of the dignified and majestic mother of the country. However, it was also true that Li Shimin was a wise monarch, and his virtuous wife, Empress Zhangzhen, naturally made an indelible contribution. If Yun wants to marry my Yanlan, he has to think carefully. Otherwise, how can I feel at ease? After all, as my eldest daughter, I owe her too much. Haha, I will help you to hone him and make him a qualified son-in-law. Yes, with you here, why should I worry? The various products of the Xinghuo shop that appeared recently in the city are really amazing. This wall clock, this glass mirror, and this fruit knife, whether in terms of craftsmanship or materials, far exceed the standards of our army. Many things are unheard of, and the first time I have seen them. In the Imperial Study, there are not only tributes that ordinary people rarely see, but also many products with the Xinghuo mark. Even Empress Changsun, although she is extremely frugal in food, clothing and daily expenses, but the seductive fragrance on her body is obviously also made of perfume produced by Xinghuo shop. However, the perfume was not bought by her own money, but was specially bought and given to her by the Emperor of Tang. It's not just her. Li Yanlan also received a whole set. The princesses and concubines in the palace were basically rewarded. Your Majesty, there must be extraordinary people behind this Xinhua Fang, but it has just become famous and its intentions are unclear. Why don't we observe quietly for a while? Well, what Guanyin said makes sense. Although the world has been peaceful for more than 10 years, the business exchanges, population, and products are far from the scale of the previous dynasty. The nobles of the world all say that I'm lacking in virtue and are unwilling to serve me as officials. There is a lot of work to be done, and progress is slow. We really need a leader like Xinhua Fang to lead the way. Xinhua Fang's tax silver this month is nearly 10,000 taels. The commercial tax in my Tang dynasty is only 30% of the tax. You can imagine how huge the revenue of Xinhua Fang is. I'm also looking forward to how this Xinhua Fang will achieve the prairie fire, and how talented the people behind it are. Sister, come and see what I brought you. The Zunfeng Palace in the harem, which is a residence given to Li Yanlan, is now the only girl in palace dress who is guarding the empty room alone. With her chin propped up on one hand, she looked at the mirror on the low table and the perfume gift sent by her biological father. She was confused and hesitant for a moment. Should she not push him too hard and make him too embarrassed? After all, her mother had passed away, and the current Empress Zhangzhen was even more respected and admired by the people. It seemed too unfair to let her father posthumously confer the title of Empress to her mother. Oh, this is made by Yunyi. Isn't he going to guard the border? Did the Emperor change his mind? You are still thinking about him. Okay, don't be so sad. You want to win a reputation for your mother. This is not a matter of one day or one night. Take your time. Try it and see if Yunyi's cooking skills have improved. Hey, you haven't answered my question yet. Oh, you can't bear to leave him. You're asking for a beating. Who told you to tease me and him? Don't worry, the Emperor asked him to go to Uncle Cheng's military camp for training because he admitted that he liked you, his sister, so the Queen Mother pleaded for him. Why is he like this? Didn't he say it? Li Yanlan is not young, but she is more reserved and shy than ordinary people in terms of children's feelings. Maybe she is devoted to martial arts, so she doesn't have the mind to think about these messy things. But now, every time she recalls her experiences during this period of time, there is always a figure of a man that lingers in her heart. The low tables and low stools of the Tang dynasty were very close to the standards of later generations. Moreover, silk fabrics, metal products, pottery bowls and jade cups were all at the peak of the feudal dynasty. The culture and customs were even more far-reaching. Wooden clogs, Tang swords, Tang suits, and Tang poems can all be said to be the best of the feudal dynasty. Because of the open and inclusive policy of Emperor Li Shimin of the Tang dynasty, he was open to all rivers and seas, and absorbed all cultures at home. Whether it was business, imperial examinations, clothing, technology, or culture, it was the object of learning and imitation by surrounding countries. Just like Luo Wen, every time he went out, he met those young girls with bright smiles and bold and fiery. All of them had beautiful figures and were dressed very brightly. Clothing, skirts, half sleeves, chest-length skirts, step shaking, flower ornaments, and various hairpins and hair accessories made people dazzled and overwhelmed. It was just a pity that Luo Wen either went out early or returned at night. Whenever he met those beautiful girls and young women, he just nodded and passed by without stopping for a moment. The morning sun broke through the thick fog, and the sky was filled with morning glow. Yunyi walked into Cheng Yaojin's military camp with his homemade, distilled liquor in his arms. In Wumingju, it was another happy science practice class. Unlike in the past, students prepared breakfast by themselves. Today, under the leadership of Lu Zinayu, they smelled the fragrant food as soon as they entered the courtyard. The elegant and leisurely teacher actually prepared breakfast for the first time. At this time, he was sitting in the classroom with a relaxed look on his face, as if he was not in a hurry to do other things. Morning, sir. Well, good morning, you guys. Eat first. Today's class schedule will be more complicated. Ah, Mr. Luo, how come you are so leisurely and elegant today? You have prepared food so early in the morning? Yes, Mr. Luo, you Niang and I have always seen you in a hurry during this period of time. Are you finally done with your work? Lu Zinayu didn't know whether she was in a good mood or whether she ate well and took good care of herself at Luo Wen's place. The tender skin on her face became whiter and revealed a rosy and lovely luster. Of course, Azi and this group of children have basically changed so obviously. They are clear-headed, full of energy, and extremely energetic. Affected by the Wumingju soul gathering formation, the food is also nutritious and people never get tired of eating it. With this, if there is no change, it would be really strange. Oh, it's almost like that. Yeah, that's great Yunayang. Chapter 162 Leaving the Palace Secretly. Okay, as of today, the basic elementary theory courses have ended, and everyone has a basic understanding of various common sense. In the next class, you will need to practice. Yes sir, can we make tools directly and do experiments? Asking questions one by one. Have you forgotten again? Lu Zinayu sat on Luo Wen's right hand side, more like a discipline committee member than a student full of curiosity. Now she put her index finger between her lips to prevent a group of children from rushing in. The day after tomorrow, we will start with the simplest soul production and purification. When each of you passes the assessment, we will conduct experiments on alcohol production. After the second stage of experimental operations is over, we will finally learn the third stage of the course, how to make metal parts by hand, and then to transform suitable processing equipment. Compared with Lu Zinayu's reminder, Luo Wen just pressed his palm down, and the classroom immediately became disciplined. Obviously, the majesty of Luo Wen, the sir, is much higher than the gentle and soft-spoken sisters in Iu. Luo Wen announced the end of the first phase of the basic course, the periodic table, the role of force, chemical reactions, basic physics, the use of various measuring tools. As for the real practical effect, it needs to be tested in the next course. Luo Wen teaches quickly, and the students learn quickly. Of course, because Luo Wen simplified the course, he only wanted them to reach the level of junior engineers, not to make them scientists. Otherwise, it would not be so efficient. And within the high walls of the palace, Lianlin, who had lost his freedom and had to be strictly required in his words and deeds, was almost driven crazy at this time. After all, not everyone is used to the life and behavior constraints of a lady from a noble family. When Empress Changsun personally stepped in, Lianlin only restrained herself a little, forcibly restrained her extravagance, and pretended to learn court etiquette. But without the supervision of Empress Changsun, Lianlin, who had been patient to the limit, could no longer bear Wu Shanghai's teachings, and floated away directly, leaving only a group of stunned eunuchs and palace maids. It seemed that for the first time, they knew that there were people in the world who could escape directly from the palace like this. The princess's escape was a big event that made the royal family lose face. Groups of Jinwu guards began to chase her out of the palace. Think about ordinary families. If their children are rude and make mistakes, they will be accused of not being disciplined and insulting the family style. Then change to the world's largest aristocratically royal family. Disobeying discipline and privately escaping from the palace is undoubtedly a huge fault. But wherever Lianlin went, someone would come out to help, just like Li Chengqian and Yunyi that night. An old man in gorgeous clothes sent the escaped Princess Anyang to his old friends. As if he understood that the more Lianlin's actions made the palace restless, the more the consequences would be what he wanted. Ouch, ouch, child, auntie has made you suffer. Over the years, I have been looking for you everywhere. Fortunately, I finally met you. Her eyes turned red and tears fell. Lianlin, wearing a palace dress, and a middle-aged beautiful woman in a red skirt and short jacket, sat on the eaves of a roof. And this middle-aged woman in tears was the sworn sister of Lianlin's mother, and also the famous Han Funu in the early Tang dynasty. But she is now old, although she is still dressed like a child of the rivers and lakes. But she has married and become the wife of the general of the country. She has a family and a family. It is said that she is looking for Lianlin everywhere. I'm afraid that it cannot be believed. Han Funu returned Lianlin's jade pendant token to her, and the soldiers lying on the ground in the courtyard screaming and wailing. I don't know how they offended the two female knights on the roof. It's all my family's fault. That old man has seen you, but he didn't tell me a word. I'll see how I deal with him when I get back. Humph, the fierce spirit of the children of Jiang who was revealed at this moment. Lianlin, who was sitting opposite, suddenly felt a sense of identity and belonging. Maybe this aunt, whom she had never met, made her feel a sense of intimacy as one of her own people. By the way, child, how did you find Chang'an? Aunt Hong, I came back this time just to seek justice for my mother and ask for a name, but unfortunately my father only has the country in his heart. I don't blame him, I just pity my mother. I came here this time to say goodbye to you. Uncle Hao said that you and my mother are sworn sisters, so I wanted to see you for the last time. If Lianlin is compared with the previous time, that is, when he was at the northwest border, his face was much lighter at this time, and the brilliance in his eyes was dimmed. He should have been enjoying the fine clothes and delicious food in the palace. Why did he end up in such a miserable state? Maybe this is the external influence brought about by the change of mood. Humph, this Leo is really a bastard. He doesn't recognize his wife, and he doesn't recognize his daughter either. No, don't be upset, Aunt Hong. My father has already made me a princess, but what does this title mean to me? I don't like staying in the palace either. As he spoke, Lianlin's eyes drooped. No need to say more. Wait for Aunt Hong to bring my son out, and then I will take you to find your grandfather. I don't believe that no one will take care of this justice. Grandpa? Yeah. Hoo-hoo. Hey, the sun is setting, and it is dusk. The soldiers' calls rang out in the barracks, and the dry gravel ground was full of sweat. Yunyi, who thought he had a sure victory, was too clever for his own good. He had planned to use the fine wine to open the way, and then use the method of training the army in later generations, to exchange his freedom from Chen Yaojin. When the higher-ups asked whether he had passed the military assessment, Chen could give him a backdoor. However, the breathless Yunyi not only contributed a jar of good wine, but also put himself in the new military training manual he proposed. Chen Yaojin still remembered the last misconduct in the Golden Palace. Yunyi, who came to the door this time, had to be trained hard. Since he couldn't do it himself, he would train hard. Hurry up, and hurry up. Balance beam, crawling net, obstacle wall. No one used a whip to urge Yunyi, but the soldiers around him surpassed him one by one. The relaxed instructor Chen Chumo was just giving him such care. Yunyi was really very upset, but his legs were weak, and he was unwilling to be a deserter. Hey, why is there a woman here? This is General Li's wife. Oh, she is Han Funu, Li Dao's mother. A red-clothed female knight walked in at the gate of the camp. Although the soldiers in training were curious, no one dared to speculate about the famous Han Funu. Cheng Chumo didn't want to supervise Yunyi, but turned around and ran to deal with the emergency. Yunyi put his hands on his waist, his lungs rumbling, gasping for breath, and finally he could stop. He turned his eyes inadvertently and found that in the corner of the tent, there was a silent and quiet woman, looking at him with a pair of beautiful and sparkling eyes. Hey, how could you leave the palace? I ran away secretly. Ah, don't worry about that for now. Let me ask you something. Why did you help me before? Do you know that helping me has brought a lot of trouble to both of us? Why is it trouble? You were not punished, and I can stay in Shangan. Isn't this the best of both worlds? I don't care. Don't help me again in the future. I don't want to owe you anything, and I can't pay it back. Hey, who wants you to pay it back? Isn't it enough for me to learn from Brother Luo and do good things? Besides, I take care of you. Who can do anything to me? No, I don't want to. I feel uncomfortable when I see you hurt and punished. Oh, it won't be uncomfortable once you get used to it. The girl listened to what Yunyi and Lianlan said here. She was moved and hot beyond words. She felt that her body was getting hot and her face was covered with red clouds, making her look extremely beautiful. Me. Alright, go back to the palace. Otherwise, if things get out of hand, a large number of people will be in trouble. Wait, why do you have to help me? Well, because we are all so familiar with each other. You can develop feelings for a pig, let alone a human, right? Humph, you are scolding me in a roundabout way. I will ignore you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. It's none of my business. Hey, you lecher, don't seduce my sister Ruolan. Choke? Yunyi and Lianlan here were just keeping their distance and talking softly, and the woman in red suddenly ran out and drew her sword without saying anything. Yunyi, who had been tired from training for a long time, was no match for the aggressive person. Not to mention fighting, he couldn't even hide from her. Ah, help. Huh. The clothes fluttered. Puff. Come quickly, princess, are you okay? When Yunyi opened his eyes again, the petite woman in front of him, Lianlan, actually used her body to block this fatal sword for him. Wow, Mom, what are you doing? Mom, are you okay? Han Funu was still reuniting with her family with Lianlan and was very affectionate. Why did she suddenly start to have a hysterical attack, as if she was stimulated? After the sword pierced Lianlan's right shoulder, she fainted on the ground with a miserable look. Li Dao rushed over and saw the scene clearly. He was also in great trouble and his face turned pale. Princess, hey, don't faint. Alas, Yunyi didn't know what to think at this time. He was in danger, and Lianlan actually blocked the sword with her body. How could he bear such friendship, and how should he repay her? Yunyi held Lianlan and went to the army tent. The most urgent thing was to confirm her injury and treat her wound. It should not be fatal to observe with the naked eye. Fortunately, Xiaonan, how did you find out the task that my brother gave you? Catcher, wow, well, of course, tell me quickly. In the courtyard of the Yun family, Li Chengqian, who looked like a crown jade, was holding a box of palace cakes, and he was coaxing Xiaonan like a weird uncle. Xiaonan, with her eyes rolling around, opened her mouth slightly, salivating at the exquisite pastries, slurping them. However, it was so easy to trick her. I'm afraid Li Chengqian underestimated the wisdom of this little girl. Oh, then Xiaonan, eat one and say one. You say one first, and brother will give you another one. No. Okay. Hey. Li Chengqian had to take out a lotus cake and put it in the hands of the smiling Xiaonan. Sisters in Ayu, let us read books first today. Before Li Chengqian could react, Xiaonan had already reached out and took another piece. She also tested us on poetry and prose. Her little hands were quick, and she got another piece of pastry. Xiaonan's face showed a proud expression like a little fox, clever and cute. Wait a minute, if we go on like this, we won't make any progress at all. By the way, Sister Xinyu sang a song for us during our lunch break. Oh, what did she sing? Well, I don't know. The sound of footsteps was heard. Hey, what are you doing? Why did you bring snacks for her again? She won't be able to eat at night later. Yunyi, who was in high spirits, had stumbled upon this by accident yesterday. Because of the matter of Han Funu, Li Jing, the great general who defended the country, owed him a favor and agreed to let him pass the assessment of Empress Zhang Sun's disciple. However, he took on another task, which was to help him cure Han Funu's palpitations. After a day's rest, he finally recovered from yesterday's physical fatigue. Seeing Li Chengqian at this time, Yunyi's face turned bitter again. As soon as this prince appeared, there were always problems waiting for him. Xiaonan, these are all for you. I have something to say to your brother. Thank you, brother. Dun. Xiaonan ran out of the hall with a food box in his hand, his legs running fast. Tell me, you are a prince, why don't you stay in your own East Palace, but come to my place? Don't say you are kind enough to come to see me, you don't want to stay and eat for free, do you? Look at what you said, I condescend to be your messenger. Come on, you are here to order me around for your sister, right? Oh, I'm sorry to disappoint you, it's really not the case. That's your mother. Haha, starting tomorrow, you can go to the East Palace to be my prince's companion in the name of the queen's disciple. Look, with this token, you can enter and leave the palace freely. Yunyi, who was originally slumped on a low stool, sat up straight from his seat and took the golden token handed over by Li Chengqian. After being unhappy in recent days, he finally heard good news. I really don't know what kind of magic potion you gave to General Li Jing, so that he actually wrote you letter of approval. Not only that, my sister has been locked up by my father since she came back. She is depressed and gloomy every day. Don't you think of comforting her? TSK, do you need to tell me? Alas, that silly girl, she is so indifferent to life and death, and has feelings and righteousness. What should I do? How can Yunyi solve Lianlun's problems, and how can Lianlun adapt to the various changes in his status in the palace? None of them is as surprising as what happened outside the courtyard gate in Bixianfang. Li Chengqian brought a group of bands and ran to the gate of Lu Zinayu's nursery. Is this to perform a song to express his heartfelt love? Knock, knock, creak. The door was opened, and Lu Zinayu, who was cheering and encouraging, opened the door. But when she saw that the man outside the door was not the one she was waiting for, she couldn't help but show a trace of disappointment on her face. But the last time this person came to the Lu mansion to pay respect to Grandpa, she knew that the Telechas were actually the crown prince of the dynasty and the man from Yun County who was recently awarded by the emperor. They were not the bad guy she thought they were. Your Highness, how did you find this place? He squatted slightly, put his hands flat on his chest, and bowed. This is also considered a normal etiquette for communication between the nobles. Miss Zinayu, I'm sorry to bother you. Who are these people? Oh, I've always heard that Miss Zinayu is an excellent zither player. These days, some musicians have come to the city, and I brought them here specially. I wonder if Miss Zinayu can learn from them? Learn from them, but one of the children is not feeling well today, and she wanted to take the opportunity to invite Mr. Luo to come over and deepen her communication with him. Mr. Li, what a coincidence. Creak, creak. Luo Wen looked at the two and felt that they were a perfect match, and their family backgrounds were also very good. However, since he had promised Darcy that he would come and take a look, he would certainly not turn around and leave. It was just that the deliberately exaggerated movement of his feet also allowed the man and woman on the threshold to discover the man walking in from outside. Hey, Master, why are you here? Last time we had a hurried farewell. Chen Kan hadn't thanked the master properly. I didn't expect to meet him again today. It's really great. Haha, although love between young men and women is important, but the appearance of the lifesaver is also a very capable master. Li Chengqian quickly turned around, walked in front of Luo Wen, and greeted him affectionately. Master? Mr. Luo, did you know the prince before? Lu Zenai usually stayed at home. All the rumors were told to her by Arzi. She even guessed that there were many spark items in her home, which were directly related to Mr. Luo. However, she was too embarrassed to ask. After all, this was Luo Wen's private matter, and there was no need to explain it to her. Well, I guess so. Mr. Lee seemed to have something to ask Miss Zinayu. You two can talk first. I just came to see the child. Haha, Luo Wen bowed, then walked past the two people and walked inside. It was not the first time he came here. Who didn't he know? But Luo Wen was obviously unwilling to pay attention to Li Chengqian, and he acted indifferent when he passed by Lu Zinayu, which made Lu Zinayu and Li Chengqian feel disappointed. Master, is he really independent and unwilling to be involved with my royal family? Mr. Luo, does he have no opinion when he sees a man getting close to me? Or does he have no other thoughts about me at all? Oh, this is really frustrating. Chapter 164. Move up. Your Highness, I still have things to deal with in the courtyard. I really can't spare time. Zinayu. Lu Zinayu's helpless face and the empty discomfort in her heart made her feel a little weak in her legs. She wanted to tactfully persuade the prince to leave, and then turn to explain to Mr. Luo, but because she had never expressed her feelings, it didn't seem appropriate to run to explain at this time. Oh, if Miss Zinayu doesn't mind, can I do my best? It just so happens that I haven't finished talking to the immortal master. Li Chengqian knew that at this time, the change of priorities would make Lu Zinayu on the opposite side have a bad impression of him, but today he met the immortal master, and the opportunity was so rare that he didn't want to miss it. And he believed that being sincere to others, whether it was the immortal master Luo Wen or his sweetheart Miss Zinayu, would eventually move them and make them feel his sincerity. Li Chengqian's idea was not wrong at all, but in his surprise, he seemed to have overlooked some details, such as Lu Zinayu's true thoughts at this time. Well, in that case, please come in, Your Highness the Crown Prince. Lu Zinayu was not good at rejecting people, and now she was distracted. She didn't know how to react. Although Grandpa Lu Shao had a high reputation, the world had already belonged to the Emperor of Tang. If they continued to fight head on, it would be their Lu family that would suffer. No matter how unhappy a girl was, she was really worried about her family and relatives. Perhaps it was these considerations that made Lu Zinayu move aside and lead the crown prince in together. Little monkey, did you eat uncooked food? Luo Wen was surrounded by a group of little kids, talking at the same time, explaining to the teacher on behalf of the little monkey lying on the bed. Sir, I saw the three of them sneaking into the kitchen last night. They must be doing something bad. Yes, they don't pay attention in class every day, and don't sleep well at night. The little monkey deserves to have a stomachache. Sir, we didn't eat enough last night, so we thought about going to the kitchen to cook something to eat. I don't know what happened to the little monkey, so he vomited and had diarrhea. Woo woo, sir, please save him. The little monkey is the youngest boy among all the people. He usually likes to follow behind the older kids like a little tail. The ones who led him to do bad things are called Gao and Sanzi. The two of them blamed themselves and looked at Luo Wen with tears in their eyes, asking him to help. Sir, don't blame brother Gao and brother Sanzi. It's because I'm greedy. So I ate the food before the time was up. Okay, it's just a mild food poisoning. I'll cure you. Sanzi, take me to the kitchen. Luo Wen had a vague guess in his heart, but he didn't say it in front of the child. A group of radish heads surrounded their teacher and went to the backyard. Unlike Wumingju, which is a large courtyard with 3 entrances, the courtyard that Lu Zinayu bought with her own money has only one entrance. Moreover, the layout and furnishings inside are very thoughtful, but there are many old and dilapidated objects. Lu Zinayu usually looks elegant, but when Luo Wen saw her for the first time, she was thin and her face looked malnourished. I'm afraid that this nursery has exhausted her mind as a woman, and her own private money has also been used on the children. Otherwise, why is she, a noble, like the children, starving every time she goes to Wumingju? As for the little monkey saying that they are greedy, boys grow up, and their appetites are bigger than girls. Luo Wen had already discovered this detail when she was at his place. The breakfast and lunch every other day were like a hungry wolf passing through the border. It was really difficult for her and the children. If it weren't for this, Luo Wen would not have allowed them to eat at his place without being rejected. Tap, tap, look, sir, this is what we ate yesterday. There were wooden shelves in the kitchen, and the corn in the rice jar was mixed with bran. The vegetables on the shelf were also rotten, but it was obvious that they had been sorted out, and people were reluctant to throw them away. Meat. Meat is rarely seen in ordinary families, let alone here. Mr. Luo, why are you guys here in the kitchen? These. Yu Niang is also forced to do nothing. She has tried her best to improve the situation, but, alas. Wanbo, the gatekeeper, and the cook were all sighing for Lu Zinayu. They probably felt sorry for their young lady for being so poor, and sympathized with her. Yu Niang is here to take care of the children. The money and food she brings out from the Lu mansion is limited. If it weren't for the subsidies for women's needlework and poetry, she wouldn't have been able to survive here. Tata, why are you guys here? Mr. Luo, did you see everything? I'm sorry to embarrass you. Lu Zinayu thought she could do better, but she couldn't fill the children's stomachs with just her passion and ideas. She tried her best to control her shelter, food, clothing, and expenses, but some children still got upset under the instinct of hunger. At this time, she could only blame herself. This, Miss Zinayu, you treat the people of the Tang dynasty so well, and I, the prince, am really ashamed. Don't worry, the East Palace, will be responsible for all the expenses here in the future. In the awkward and depressing atmosphere, Li Chengqian started to take on a lot of responsibilities. Lu Zinayu looked at Mr. Luo, who had a calm face, and then looked at the prince who was faintly showing something. She didn't know what Mr. Luo was thinking at this time. Mr. Luo, why don't you do it according to what His Royal Highness the Prince said? I'm sorry for these children. Letting them follow Zinayu and suffer so much. Woo woo, Sister Zinayu, it's none of your business. If you hadn't taken us in, we would have starved to death outside now. Woo woo, Sister Zinayu, it's all us who drag you down. The little monkey had already climbed up from the bed, because when everyone left, Luo Wen integrated the spiritual power into the warm water and let him drink it. Mild food poisoning is not a serious illness, but Luo Wen likes to be efficient. Depend on each other, do your best. Lu Zinayu can be regarded as a moral model and a role model of the times, but she is just a woman, and a lady from the feudal era, with limited ability. She is in the Lu family, of course. She has endless food and clothing, but she can't be the master of the entire Lu family, because there are too many poor people who can't get enough food in the world. The emperor can't do anything. What can a Lu family do? The contemporary head of the Lu family is Lu Zinayu's grandfather Lu Xiao. He can be said to understand and acquiesce to his granddaughter's good deeds, but full support is obviously impossible. After all, the Lu family has a large population, and as a noble, their living security is the top priority of the head of the family. Lu Zinayu is self-reliant, and uses her monthly salary and her own labor income to raise the children of Bishi and Fang, but she does good deeds without asking for awards, just for peace of mind. This is the origin of the nursery and the root cause of the current predicament. Master, do you have anything to add to Chengqian's arrangement? Luo Wen did not speak. Lu Zinayu and the children hugged each other, with helpless and hopeful eyes. Li Chengqian was also infected by his emotions, and felt that he had done a good thing. Mr. Li can support these more than 20 children, but what about those who are still living on the streets in Chang'an City? Should we let them fend for themselves? That's right. After more than a month of getting along, Lu Zinayu adopted a few more. Anyway, whenever she saw them, she would take them to the nursery in Bixianfang. As for the problem of money and food shortage, she only considered it afterwards. If it weren't for a kind-hearted neighbor who suddenly came, Lu Zinayu would have been unable to continue, not to mention adopting more children. Chengqian, please teach me. Master. Teach you. I'll teach you a big hammer. He knelt on one knee and clasped his hands together. Luo Wen felt unhappy instantly. He had taken on so much responsibility before, saying that he was the crown prince of the Tang dynasty and that all the people were the subjects of the Tang dynasty. But now, whenever there is a problem, he always asks Master to teach me. Master to teach me. I owe it to you, the royal Lee family. Get up. You are a royal family, but you don't know the suffering of the people, and you can't make sure the people have enough food and clothing. You are in the temple and the palace, and your food, clothing and daily expenses are all provided by the people. The royal family, the emperor, it's ridiculous. Miss Xinhua Fang will start recruiting apprentices tomorrow. When you are 12 years old, you can do some things within your ability, the workload is halved, and you don't have to worry about food and clothing, and you also get a monthly salary. As for those under 12 years old, Xinhua Fang will have a special shelter to provide food, clothing, housing and transportation, and be taken care of by special people, and teach knowledge. Luo Wen has not been idle these days. Since Xinhua Fang has started to make a lot of money, then for future development, it is also necessary to start reserving talents as soon as possible. Since he intends to change a feudal society, let's start with the refugees. Chapter 165 Situation. Li Chengqian left, looking lonely, not because Lu Xinayu's mind was not on him, but because of the indifference of the immortal master Luo Wen, and his denial of the entire Li family in his words. Father, the immortal master is such a great man, but he has no interest in government affairs, and is full of contempt and hostility towards the royal family. What should I do? The era in which Li Chengqian lived was not only because of the general environment here. Even if a person like Li Chengqian was placed in modern society, would he become selfless and willing to give up his aristocratic privileges and serve the people? Luo Wen was sure that he would not, because there were no such saints in the Xia kingdom in peacetime. In the face of national justice, there may be ancestors who will devote themselves to it regardless of life and death. But in feudal society, the imperial power was determined by heaven. People who were born as nobles allowed the people to live and work in peace and contentment, which was already the most satisfactory result for the ruling class. National consciousness awakened, personal thinking was open, and everyone was like a dragon. What a joke. How many resources would it take? How could the ruling class and the privileged class get something for nothing? Only Luo Wen, whose thoughts and ideas were constantly sublimating, was thinking about going into deep space. He felt that the population on the blue planet was far from enough, and everyone's ability was far from enough. Otherwise, how could the human race win and persist to the end in the racial collision and civilization war? Everyone, go and have a look. The Spark Workshop in Pinganfang is recruiting apprentices and is willing to adopt street children. Everyone, go and have a look. The sound of camel bells, the clatter of iron hooves, and the rolling of wheels. In the densely populated Chang'an city, there were ladies and gentlemen in gorgeous clothes, peddlers in coarse linen clothes, and people from outside the region with different hair colors and full of nonsense, with different skin colors and body sizes. After hearing such shocking news, those homeless beggars and those idle pedestrians all gathered together at the Spark Workshop in the northwest corner. In front of the bustling gate of Xinhua Fang, Chen Xinwen and his subordinates are maintaining order among the people coming in. The guards with swords on their waists are also patrolling continuously to ensure that the noise outside the square will not affect the normal production and life inside. Everyone be quiet, don't be anxious, don't shout, line up. As long as you are over 12 years old, you can get a number plate from me and go inside for the interview. There are also children under the age of 12. If anyone knows of any, please help send them to our Xinhua Fang. Their daily life will be taken care of by our Xinhua Fang in the future. Chen Xinwen held a metal reel with a speaker and batteries inside, which was enough to make his voice reach the ears of the crowd in front of the square. Mr. Luo, this will be a blessing for the people of Chang'an City in the future. Lu Xinayu was wearing a chest-length dress, and her long hair was simply decorated with a hairpin. Facing the crowd in the square, her face was full of excitement and admiration for the people around her, and her beautiful eyes were full of brilliance. Chang'an City is the capital of the Tang dynasty, with a population of millions, a wide range of businesses, and a prosperous economy, but there are hundreds of homeless children, plus homeless beggars over the age of 16. I'm afraid there are no less than thousands of them. Why did Mr. Luo answer the question irrelevantly and suddenly talk about these unrelated things? Chang'an City is like this, and I can still take care of it with Xinghuafang, but in the entire Tang dynasty, there are 10 provinces, 358 prefectures, and 1551 counties. How many homeless people are there? Alas, it's as dangerous as an egg, and human power is limited. Mr. Luo, you are a rare genius in the world for being able to solve the problem of the poor people in Chang'an in one fell swoop. But you are betraying the entire Tang dynasty. This is too exaggerated. Lu Zhenyu covered her mouth, looking at Luo Wen, who was clearly existing in the sunlight. However, she felt that, although they were so close, there was a huge gap in belief between them. He was so calm and confident, with great ambitions and ideals, just like the sages recorded in the books. How can I catch up with him? How can I be worthy of him? Alas. Haha, as long as you do something, there will always be a day when you can accomplish it. Isn't that the case with you, Xinyu? Well, if you hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't have done this. In the future, when you go to the workshop to teach the children, don't do it alone. If you have anything, ask Manager Chen for help. Just call him. Well, I got it. Boss, there are already many workers in the workshop, plus their families. There are tens of thousands of people. Now you are recruiting apprentices and taking in orphans. I'm afraid there will be trouble in the workshop. Chen Xinwen regarded Luo Wen as his benefactor and Xinghuo workshop as his home. The machines, facilities, and production processes inside are all confidential that need to be strictly guarded. He could barely take care of it before, but now there are so many strangers suddenly pouring in. If the secrets of the workshop are leaked, those jealous businessmen and those powerful people will probably make Xinghuo workshop lose its foundation. Heh, you mean the confidentiality issue, right? Since I've openly shared everything in the workshop, I'm not afraid of people learning it. I'm just afraid that they won't be able to learn it, or learn something half-heartedly, and then cause irreparable casualties. Boss, these apprentices, you have taught them wholeheartedly. If they really have the ability to start their own business, our Xinghuo workshop can even provide processing technology and supporting equipment and instruments. The sooner they become apprentices, the more products of Xinghuo workshop will appear in the entire Tang dynasty and even outside the region. I will be even more happy and satisfied. Luo Wen put down the list in his hand, as well as the various expenditure accounts, and waved his hand to tell Chen Xinwen not to worry. Boss, your broad mind is really admirable. I'm willing to follow you until death. But for Chen Xinwen, Luo Wen, who looked indifferent, was still so gentle and calm, but his position in his heart was rising sharply, and it was raised to a position no different from a saint. When Miss Xinyu comes here in the future, you should pay more attention to her safety. After all, she is a girl, and many things are not so convenient. In addition, the workshop in the city is always limited by the size of the site, and there will be many constraints on future development. I will find another place outside the city to rebuild the workshop. You make relevant preparations. We should move soon. Yes, boss, I will tell you. Luo Wen is a serious businessman, preparing for a rainy day, and his actions did not violate the laws of the Tang dynasty. Even in the entire aristocratic family class, when Luo Wen's reputation as a good person was linked to the people behind the Starfire shop, from the court to the market, there were discussions, all kinds of suspicions and doubts, and there was no end to the clamor and excitement. The Tang Emperor is the emperor of the Tang dynasty, the real ruler, but his actions, since he came to power, seem so inferior in front of the current Starfire shop. The annual income of a country is only 34 million strings of cash. What about the Starfire shop? The profit in the first month reached more than 200,000 strings of cash. If the business goes into full swing in the second month, the profit will probably be several times higher. When a person's wealth is comparable to that of a country, and the owner behind him has the reputation of a great philanthropist, the Emperor Tang, who sits high on the throne, suddenly becomes panicked. Chapter 166 Summoning. Winter is gone, and spring is here. Everything is revived. Time flies and it's been several months, and Luo Wen also came from the late autumn season with the autumn wind, blowing the warm wind by the river, looking at the weeping willows. The mood is also particularly happy and relaxed. Xinghuafang withdrew from Chang'an City, and moved to the Nanshan outside Chang'an City. Anyway, the mountains are endless, and no one will deliberately give each mountain a name except the nearby mountain villagers. The Xinhua Fang that moved here not only happily adapted to the environment in the valley, but also various infrastructures, as well as the size of the factory and the comfort of the residents, are far superior to Pingan Fang in the city. Boss, there is an imperial edict, and the tongueless eunuch is waiting for you to receive it at this time. Hoo-hoo, the valley basin, there is only one main road to enter and exit, and at the end of the road, in addition to cliffs, there are dense forests and waterfalls. Chen Xinwen, who found Luo Wen, took a breath for a while, and bowed his hands, and waited quietly on the side. The boss gave Wu Mingju to Miss Xinayu, and moved to live outside the city with us. I really don't understand why the boss is not moved by Miss Xinayu, such a beautiful and infatuated woman. Alas, even if he is the prince, how can he be compared with our boss? Well, I know. The scale of Xinhua Fang is now larger than before. Luo Wen also gave the teaching task of those naughty children to his personal disciple Lu Xinayu. That's right, Luo Wen accepted her as a disciple, which also cut off her thoughts. Lu Xinayu was successfully conquered by Li Chengqian again with the help of Yan Yi, and the two became an enviable couple. Getting up from the round stone by the river, Luo Wen followed Chen Xinwen to the administrative building at the exit of the valley with his hands behind his back. Looking down at the whole earth from the air, the valley where Xinhua Fang is located is 20 miles away from Chang'an City. The layout of Xinhua Fang is divided into two parts. From the entrance, there is a cement avenue that divides the valley into two. Luo Wen and Chen Xinwen sat in a four-wheeled steam carriage and soon passed the workshop gate, the living area, and the huge square. Finally, they stopped in front of a building made of glass curtain walls and reinforced concrete. The administrative building is 5 stories high, and each floor is thousands of square meters. It is shaded by green trees, with tall street lights and many parking spaces painted on it. However, at this time, a team of Tang army soldiers who were obviously out of place, their clothes and the surrounding environment were a bit abrupt, and they looked around with curiosity, led their mounts, and watched over the carriages, but did not dare to move around. Even though they are the Jinwu guards in the palace, this is the territory of the Immortal Master. Whether it is the instructions of the Tang Emperor before leaving, or the tongueless steward who walked into the strange building, they all told them to be careful, and not to bump into the Immortal Master. Toot creak, creak, snap, hey, what is this new thing? At the entrance, the carriage is made entirely of metal. It can move automatically without being pulled by horses, which makes a group of soldiers drop their eyes in shock. The young man who got off the carriage was dressed in a green shirt, like a fallen immortal descending to the earth. He must be Master Luo Wen, right? Manager Chen, have someone bring them chairs, and some drinks and snacks. Oh, it's the boss. Click, click. The management staff of Xinhua Fang, as well as external cooperation and contract signing, are all in this government building. Sitting on the soft sofa with tea and snacks on the table, Wash was in no mood to enjoy them. Why is there such a huge change here? Master, does the master really have the magical power to turn mountains and seas upside down, and turn beans into soldiers? It has only been a month since the move, and Xinhua Fang bought this valley only 4 months ago. The huge workshops standing side by side, the wide roads, the simple and novel houses with bright windows, and the transparent building. Your Majesty, you should come and see it with your own eyes. If you want the Immortal Master to work for you, I'm afraid it is impossible. Click, the door of the conference room was pushed open from the outside. Wash, who was wearing palace clothes, and the Jinwu guards with their hands on their waist knives, all focused their eyes on him. At the same time, they also stood up, adjusted their clothes, and stepped forward to greet him. Master, you are so polite. I haven't seen you for a long time. I'm afraid you have forgotten an unknown person like me. Eunuch Wash, I'm not that forgetful. Let's talk business first. The Emperor has given an order. Master, you don't have to perform a big ceremony to receive the order. Wash took out a yellow silk from his sleeves. Obviously, this was the imperial edict issued by the Tang Emperor. Luo Wen's face didn't have any respect at all. At this time, he was quietly waiting for Wash to finish reading the imperial edict. He didn't sit down directly and put on a high posture to embarrass them. Master, wait a moment. I will announce the order right away. Wash was also a little surprised. Luo Wen was not as high-handed as the prince said. What extreme behavior did he have? On the contrary, he was very calm. He respected me as much as I respected him. Zhu and Yair and Luo Wen will go to the palace to meet the emperor on March 7th, the 11th year of Zhengun. Master, I hope you will go to the palace on time for the morning court tomorrow, and don't keep the emperor and his officials waiting for a long time. Oh, the eunuch called me master, but the emperor Tang called me a stranger. Going to the palace to meet the emperor instead of coming to pay homage. Haha, I overestimated the emperor Tang. Alright, you go back, I will go to the palace tomorrow. This, master, please don't blame me. It's really that your majesty has been unable to spare the time in recent days. After I return to the palace, I will definitely repay your majesty and ask him to. Luo Wen waved his hand gently, turned around and left the meeting room. There are some things that everyone knows. There is no need to cover up. It just so happens that I think it's time to talk to the Emperor Tang. Half a year has passed, and Luo Wen has gradually adapted to and adjusted his mentality in this Tang dynasty, but Yan Yi has never appeared since he moved from Xinghua Fang. Luo Wen estimated that he should have completely entered the state of Yun County man. He was having a hot relationship with his sweetheart Li Anlin, and he was getting closer and closer to the Li family by fawning on them. I'm afraid that in his heart, one was the immortal he could not get, and the other was the imperial power in the world, and his girlfriend was the princess of the current dynasty. Naturally, the status of brother Luo in his mind was far less important than currying favor with the Li family. After all, the last time Yan Yi visited, Luo Wen seemed to be using money to get rid of him. He said he would visit the elders at the Yun family, but he broke his promise and did not go. Yan Yi seemed to have self-awareness from Luo Wen's euphemism. He knew that I was distancing myself from him and felt that he was a bit useless. As a modern man, he was so flattering without limits. Yan Yi readily accepted the privileged class and gradually forgot the concept of equality for all. This was also the reason why Luo Wen did not want to be too deeply involved with Yan Yi. The world is bustling with people, all for profit. Zhao Huang, what should I do with you? Luo Wen stood on the roof, looking at the orderly Xinghua Fang, which was like modern society, and he couldn't help but feel a little uninterested. He pushed away all those who wanted to get close to him, just because they didn't understand him. But now, he felt lonely and desolate for no reason. Why? Maybe in Luo Wen's heart, who looked calm, he never took this world as real, and he never had any sense of belonging. Chapter 167 Entering the Palace. Alas, there is a Xinghua Fang in the world. Rumors are spreading that its owner is a saint who has come to the world to replace. Shh, silence. How dare you say such nonsense in the hall? Even if the civil and military officials in the court know it, you can't say it out. Alas, our Tang dynasty has been competing for the world since Wood, and now in Zhengun, it is not easy for the Tang emperor to be recognized by the people of the world. How come there is an immortal master? The chattering hall became particularly hot because of Luo Wen's entry into the palace to meet the emperor. Outside, the Turks began to knock on the border, and the Tang dynasty was fully developing the economy and cultivating the people. Originally, according to the idea of the Tang Emperor and Empress Zhangzhen, they should observe the development of Xinghua Fang first, and then slowly contact it. After all, it is law-abiding and beneficial to the world. However, the skyrocketing tax revenue, the name of Xinghua Fang, and the act of sheltering and settling refugees made everyone in the court, including the Tang Emperor, extremely fearful and panicked. The owner of the Spark Shop is the immortal master Luo Wen. Cheng Yaojin saw with his own eyes that he had great magical powers, killing hundreds of Kiang soldiers in an instant, and could heal dead flesh and bones. In addition, Li Chengqian proved the identity of the immortal master Luo Wen, which was indeed true. Even Yan Yi repeatedly told the Emperor of Tang that, if it was not necessary, he should never be his enemy. The most important point is that Luo Wen is not as well connected as Yan Yi, and he lives in seclusion. Few people see him outside. Although he is admired by the people of the world, and his workers and their families are hundreds of thousands, Luo Wen does not have a private army. Even the guard team of thousands of people is recorded and does not violate the Tang law. But think about it, with the manufacturing capacity of the Spark Shop, whether it is daily necessities or metal forging of equipment, it is unmatched by any workshop in the Tang dynasty. Immortal Master Luo Wen, if he really wants to steal the world, it seems that it is only a matter of his thoughts. Okay, Anjing, what time is it now? The upset Emperor Tang secretly regretted his contempt, but whether it was a visit or asking for advice, it was no longer appropriate now. He was confronting him head on. He only hoped that the Immortal Master would be like him, with his character of unity of knowledge and action, and could convince him with the safety of the people and the general trend of the world. Reporting to your majesty, it's already 9 o'clock. No, it's already the hour of C. Alas. The Emperor Tang waved his hand. His face was the same as everyone else's. It didn't make much sense to care about these things. They all had a look of determination, decisiveness, and quietly accepting the arrangement of fate. Whoosh, who are you? The agreed time had arrived. Originally, they thought that the Immortal Master was going to leave them alone and give them a show of power, but the Praetorian guards outside the palace suddenly shouted, instantly drawing everyone's attention to the open door outside the palace. He came alone, gracefully, as if it were real. However, following his footsteps, the prefect's guards on duty were stiff and unable to make any movements, including moving their eyes. They could only let the suddenly appeared Immortal Master walk into the hall step by step. Is he Luo Wen? So young. With such a ghostly figure and such a demeanor, I'm afraid no one would believe that he is not an immortal. Brother Luo, you are here. Haha, Yun Li's eyes were a little evasive, not knowing whether it was envy or because of nervousness and fear. However, Luo Wen, who had a calm face, ignored the civil and military officials in the court, but still nodded to him. I'm Luo Wen, invited by the Emperor of Tang, and I have come to meet you. I wonder if the Emperor of Tang has any advice? Huh. No greetings, no courtesy. Is it so straightforward? The Emperor of Tang, who sat high up in the palace, was calm on the surface and maintained the demeanor of a royal emperor, but he was actually feeling bitter in his heart. He had thought that he would summon him to the palace and then suppress his reputation with the royal style and the momentum of the civil and military officials in the court, but now it seems that it is just the style of a mortal. The name of Luo Wen's Immortal Master made people more convinced. The prefect Aserbi standing outside unable to move, and the embarrassment of the civil and military officials in the court, who were surprised and dared not step forward. The Emperor of Tang could only put down his high and mighty style, stand up and walk down the high platform, across the two clear pools. His eyes met with them in the air. Emperor Tang, don't use the so-called momentum of the human emperor to oppress you. If I really want to harm you, it will be like this. Choke, sneer. Luo Wen came alone, but his eyes suddenly lit up with golden light, like the collision of metal and iron, and a straight crack had been cut in the aisle between Emperor Tang and Luo Wen, allowing the water in the separate pools to converge and blend together. What? The power of the gods is far from comparable to martial arts. Whether it is Emperor Tang or the civil and military officials behind them, they are all silent at this time, with eyes full of shock, but they just open their mouths, but they are so stunned that they can't say anything. Although I'm the common ruler of the world, I feel powerless in comparing to the Immortal Master. I have neglected the Immortal Master. Whoosh, please take a seat. The Emperor of Tang was the first to wake up from his trance. The ministers who originally wanted to show their loyalty to the Emperor of Tang were unable to move their feet at this time. They did not dare to speak out and ask for advice. Of course, they had nothing to fear if they died for a good cause and with value. But now it seems that they will just die. The Emperor of Tang will not be able to make the decision for them, and he may even be charged with disrespecting the Immortal Master. Click, Immortal Master, please. Whoosh brought a long back chair, and the Emperor of Tang turned around and sat on his golden throne. Emperor Tang, if you have anything to say, please speak frankly. Although I have no intention of taking your supreme position, I also don't like being watched like a monkey. Time is precious, and I have other things to do. Luo Wen did not sit down. After restraining his amazing momentum, his face regained a gentle expression. in the world. The only person who dares to be so disrespectful to Emperor Tang is Li Yuan, the retired emperor. Why is Li Yuan still here? It's because this is not the Tang dynasty recorded in the historical records, but a parallel universe with the same era background. The Immortal Master's quick words really make me ashamed. Since the Immortal Master has no intention of fighting for the world, why? What the Emperor Tang wanted to ask, not only the civil and military officials wanted to know, but even Yan Yi wanted to know, even the eunuchs, palace maids, and guards in the hall, they were also concentrating their minds, wanting to know why this Immortal Master was like this. The world belongs to both the Emperor of Tang and the aristocratic families. A lonely man like Luo Wen who suddenly appeared, did not raise the flag or form alliances with other aristocratic families. He seemed to be doing his own thing, and staying out of the world. Science and education make the country prosperous, and hard work makes the country prosperous. Whether it is to improve government efficiency, streamline personnel, or vigorously develop technological innovation, they are all my ideals and pursuits. Whether I'm the ruler of a country, it is actually not important. Why does this Immortal Master speak in a weird way, a bit like the tone of Yan Yi, a man from Yun County? That's right, haven't you heard that the two are from the same place? It's just that, apart from some clever tricks and a lot of ghost ideas, it seems that no matter whether Yan Yi is personal strength or real talent and knowledge, compared with Luo Wen, no one would put them together. Since its establishment, Xinhua Fang has only paid taxes for 5 months, but the amount of money is extremely astonishing. The commercial taxes for just 5 months add up to a huge amount of 1 million. The goods sold are all over the territory of the Tang dynasty. Those merchants from foreign regions, let alone, have to wait for a long time before they can get a number to ship the goods to foreign countries for sale. The commercial tax is 30% of the tax. Based on this, we can know that Luo Wen is already the well-deserved richest man in the world. There is another reason why the Tang dynasty monarchs and ministers mobilized so many troops against Luo Wen. Chapter 168 The Emperor. Singing girls and maids, beauties in palace dresses, and concubines in groups. The towering palace has countless towers and pavilions, and in the deep Taiji Hall, even though the treasury of the early Tang dynasty was not loose, as the residence of the retired Emperor Li Yuan, all the utensils, food, clothing and expenses here are more luxurious and expensive than those of the Tang Emperor. Just because, in order to stop the world's gossip, the Tang Emperor felt that he owed his father. So as long as the retired emperor did not leave the Taiji Hall, Li Yuan could be said to have everything he wanted. No matter how absurd or extravagant, the Tang Emperor also tried his best to meet all the requirements of the retired emperor. For example, the Jinluan Hall in front is deciding the future direction of the Tang dynasty, which is related to the life and death of the Li family, but in this paradise on earth, it is another scene. 3 steps is slave, 5 steps a maid, in the exquisite and elegant courtyard. The old man wearing white cloth socks is happily hosting the Goose King competition. Run, run, haha, hey, run, run. Oh, oh, ding dong. First place, the emperor. Haha, I'm the Goose King, I'm the Goose King. So, master, you want to change the living standards of the people of our Tang dynasty by your own power, so that the people in the country can travel freely throughout the world? Indeed. Whether it is you or your son who is the emperor, as long as we serve the country and the people, we are teammates on the same front. But if the court collapses and internal friction is serious, then Xinhua Fang will act in its own way. Is this a negotiated cooperation or a threat? Master, do you really not want to be named the Imperial Master, so that you can have a legitimate title? With a strong character and a righteous spirit, Luo Wen turned around and looked at Wei Zheng, the head of the civil officials who was fearless and was known as the Mirror of Man. You are so pedantic. Those who serve the country are righteous and those who serve the people are obedient. What do I need the title of Imperial Master for? Whether it is rule by man or rule by law, if we cannot make the country rich and the people strong and the people live and work in peace and contentment, what is the use of being legitimate? Luo Wen's cultural level was not so high before, but since the various attributes of his body were strengthened, he had free time and no longer had to bow down for a few grains of rice. He was strict with himself and studied, and he never stopped for a day. In the real world, Luo Wen's ID card still says he is 25 years old, and his vitality is even increasing. He may even give people a sense of young face, but after experiencing 2 worlds in the current feudal dynasty, he has several more years of extraordinary experience than his peers in the main world. Okay, the Immortal Master's words are very much to my liking. Prime Minister Wei, you can leave. Today, the Immortal Master has personally explained his thoughts, and I have understood them. In the future, I hope that the Immortal Master can do more for the welfare of the people of the Tang Dynasty. As a member of the Tang Dynasty, I would like to thank the Immortal Master here. As ministers, the civil and military officials could not get out of the vicious circle of thinking that they share the worries of the Emperor. As the Emperor Tang, he quickly accepted Luo Wen's ideas, and his face was relaxed and respectful. This may be because of different positions and different perspectives on the problem. Now that the matter is over, I should leave. There are still many things that I need to arrange in Xinghuafang. By the way, Emperor Tang, if you are free, you are welcome to bring everyone to visit my Xinghuafang. I remember the Immortal Master's kindness and I will definitely go. Luo Wen came suddenly and left suddenly in just half an hour. Anyway, before everyone could react, his figure had disappeared. In the hall, everyone sighed. There were still many things to say and doubts, but no one could be found to ask. Dong dong, dong dong, the Emperor retired has arrived. The Emperor retired has lived in the harem for a long time. Why did he come out at this time? Greetings to the Emperor retired. They all knelt on the ground, but an old man in golden clothes walked by. The civil and military officials who were kneeling and bowing had a different look on their faces. The Emperor retired is just a title. Has there ever been a strange story of 2 saints in the same court in ancient and modern times? Your son greets you, father. Just as a big stone fell to the ground, the face of the Emperor of Tang was full of sorrow again. He walked down from the high platform again and strode to the old man. Greetings to Grandpa Emperor. In the hall, not to mention the embarrassment and helplessness on the face of the Emperor of Tang, the Crown Prince Li Chengqian and the second Prince Li Tai were even more terrified. Just after the Immortal Master showed up, they were still thinking about recruiting talents for the Li family, and they must perform well. As a result, they were ignored and became invisible. Now that the Grandpa Emperor has come out, they dare not talk nonsense. Humph, do you still have eyes for me, the retired Emperor? Swish, a middle-aged beautiful woman in a red dress and a skirt, and a girl in palace clothes. Aren't these Princess Anyang and the wife of the General Zhengguo, Hang Funu? Let me ask you, is this your daughter? Yes. Then let me ask you again, is this your first child? Yes. Then she is my eldest granddaughter. Ah. In front of the retired emperor, the Tang Emperor had to tuck his tail between his legs and sell his father a face. But when he heard this, he and the civil and military officials all felt a shudder in their hearts, knowing why the retired emperor came today. Indeed. Okay, come here. Yes, pass my oral order. From today on, Princess Anyang is the eldest princess of the Tang dynasty. Alas, the Immortal Master was right. Why should a private matter of the royal family be discussed in public? It's as if the rise and fall of the country has something to do with the title of an eldest princess. In March of the 11th year of the Zhengguan period of the Tang dynasty, the Immortal Master Luo Wen went to the court to meet the emperor and reached a consensus with the Tang emperor not to interfere with each other. On the same day, the retired Emperor Li Yuan issued an imperial edict to confer Princess Anyang as the eldest princess of the Tang dynasty. Wei Zheng went to the court to meet the Tang emperor, but was punished by the Tang emperor for making irresponsible remarks about the royal family and was ordered to guard the city gate. The civil and military officials witnessed that the Immortal Master Luo Wen came on the wind and left on the wind. They went home and told their disciples and relatives not to offend Xinghuafang. For any related matters, it is best to follow the good and not offend. Otherwise, the Tang Emperor would not be able to save him, and no one would dare to save him. As for Yun Yi, the man from Yun County, it was rumored that he was a fellow disciple of the Immortal Master Luo Wen, but everyone had gradually understood that he only had the title of the Immortal Disciple, and he was just an acquaintance with the Immortal Master. It was just an ordinary person except for a magic weapon of the Immortal family. In the blink of an eye, it was autumn again, and it was the Mid-Autumn Festival. Yunyi no longer had the protection of the immortal disciple. In addition to his occasional strange words, he won the favor of the Emperor and the Empress of Tang because of his quick wit. He also had a private relationship with the Crown Prince and a close relationship with the eldest Princess Lianlin. Everyone regarded him as an idle person, calling him a man from Yun County on the surface, but a fawning behind the scenes. Yunyi himself was also thinking about ways to improve his relationship with the Li family for his own future and love, such as a Mid-Autumn Festival confession, to help Crown Prince Li Chengqian win the favor of Lu Xinyu, or to help the Emperor of Tang and his master Empress Zhang San solve problems and ease the father-son deadlock between the Emperor of Tang and the Emperor Emeritus. Hey, Brother Luo, I thought you were an ordinary person like me. Who knew you had such a great ability? It would be great if you could take me with you. Chapter 169. Peaceful and prosperous times. Boss, now my Xinhua Fang has begun to open exclusive stores in various states. We have also bought a lot of land. No matter whether the land is barren or fertile, we have mechanical reclamation, application of fertilizers, standardized planting, and the good varieties that you have researched. This autumn harvest, we can be completely self-sufficient. Chen Xinwen is no longer the same as before. He was a slave, but in less than a year, he has become the spokesperson of the immortal master. He travels all over the world, discusses cooperation, spends money lavishly, is respected and highly praised, and has tried his best to please him wherever he goes. However, everything he has was given to him by Luo Wen, who lives a secluded life. So no matter how powerful he is outside, when he returns to the production base of Xinhua Fang, that is, Nanshan Valley, especially in front of Luo Wen, Chen Xinwen is respectful and always remembers his status as a subordinate. In that case, let's expand production capacity and launch new product lines according to the predetermined plan. Haha, Luo Wen's daily life is very stable and simple. Exercise and practice in the morning and evening have become part of his daily life. In the morning, he will go to the administrative building to arrange work, or go to the factory for inspection. The time is generally no more than 2 hours. After that, he will return to his own laboratory, or call it a workshop, to tinker with materials, utensils, metals, bottles, and jars. In the safe, Luo Wen's drawings and work instructions almost occupied several cubic meters of space, so the factory had to send a new one. Yes, I'll do it right away. In addition to Luo Wen's own studio, Xinhua Fang also has a large research institute and laboratory in the valley. The researchers inside are all outstanding from the Xinhua Academy. Luo Wen takes time to teach in person, and there is a huge amount of funding and resource support. They have already made mechanical calculators and electronic tube calculators. As for the circuit boards mentioned by Luo Wen, especially the highly integrated circuit boards, they have gradually developed ideas and directions. They are now working hard to make sure to produce the finished products as soon as possible. High explosives, picric acid, nitrocellulose, nitroglycerine, smokeless gunpowder, etc. are bound into books with complete assembly line manufacturing instructions. Steel, aluminum, copper, iron, etc. have all been found in mineral deposits, and now various alloys are constantly emerging in the Spark laboratory. Even the internal combustion engine using hydrogen fuel has a 1.0 experimental version, and is now designing a 2.0 civilian version. Replacing those steam engines is obviously just around the corner. All these things should not have developed so quickly, but Luo Wen, who has the quantum computer, has the strength and cultivation of a golden core elm monk. In order to manufacture the mother machine or the first generation of products, ordinary people may need to spend a lot of energy and time to explore and try and make mistakes. But Luo Wen, under the perception of divine thoughts, spews spiritual fire and controls the power of thought in detail. Otherwise, he would not have built a modern production line in 1 month. The metals refined by Luo Wen are much better than the various data of factory batch production. Even if the raw materials are the same, Luo Wen's engraving of solidification technique, the high temperature of spiritual fire, and the refining of mind power. Not only the precision reaches the micron level, but the hardness and tensile fatigue resistance are also far beyond the assembly line products. Ordinary people can only find a breakthrough point like Yunye and take it step by step. They can't even change the overall situation. At most, they can get some strange and tricky enjoyment things, such as salt making, distilled liquor, snacks, and new furniture. But if it is more professional, such as soap, high gunpowder industrial machine tools, electrified equipment, even if the manufacturing drawings are given to Yunye, he may not be able to realize it for a while, because it is limited by the processing conditions of raw materials, and even many things are not made by ordinary people, just by knowing how to make them. Yunye's biggest capital may be the bag of potatoes. And like Luo Wen, all kinds of cheats, all kinds of ability blessings, just like a standalone game, and also opened a modifier, an experience world, that is not to let Luo Wen play freely. With a monthly income of 6 million strings and a tax payment of 200,000 strings, Luo Wen not only has a full treasury of silver and money, but also the gold and silver mines he mined. Those gold and silver ingots are piled up and can't be put in, so many products of the next stage have to be arranged in advance at the current stage, such as transportation facilities, such as super large equipment. The number of employees of Xinhua Fang has exceeded 100,000 at this time, and Luo Wen has to increase their salary level many times. The monthly salary of the most basic operators has increased to 20 strings. The annual income of the Tang dynasty is less than 40 million guan, but Luo Wen has surpassed the Ministry of Revenue of the court by his own efforts. It is well deserved to say that he is rich enough to rival a country. The goods produced by Xinhua Fang are playing a huge role in all walks of life, and in daily life, they have brought substantial changes to the people of the Tang dynasty. There is a sense of happiness in people's hearts. The circulation of goods is not only limited to the territory of the Tang dynasty, but also in the Turkic, Tibetan, Nansheo, Goguryeo and various foreign countries around the Tang dynasty. It is just because of Luo Wen's regulations that foreigners should add 5 layers of price, and those foreign merchants spend more on transportation and time costs. When they sell to their countries, the price is already several times higher than that of the Tang dynasty, and the countries across the ocean, who have gone through untold hardships to come, the price back home is more than 10 times, dozens of times. In addition to recruiting apprentices in the Tang dynasty, Luo Wen continued to recruit apprentices. The Spark Academy was also divided into junior, middle and senior levels. According to the administrative level of the Tang dynasty, the personnel were distributed in different regions. Hundreds of Spark Academies sprang up, and there was only one Spark University outside the valley for the time being. Among them, the Spark House cooperated with the Tang dynasty government to start paving a new official road, connecting the major states in the Tang dynasty with the standard of 4 cars in parallel. However, even if the Spark House contributed money and effort, the local officials only needed to cooperate. However, there were many operators who could operate large machinery. Those construction workers also groped cautiously and made slow progress. So far, the total length is less than 100 kilometers. However, the rails on which the steam locomotives travel have great military uses and important strategic significance. Instead, they have made rapid progress. The northwest line from Chang'an, the Tang dynasty to the northwest border, has been officially opened for operation. The total length is 300 kilometers. According to the previous galloping day and night, it takes at least 3 days. But after the steam locomotive that spews white smoke and hums forward is replaced, the time is instantly shortened to 6 hours. In other words, the officers and soldiers of the Tang dynasty can set off from Chang'an in half a day and reach the battlefield in an instant. They are not the kind of people who are exhausted. They are all likely equipped and well rested. I'm afraid that the 10th level of combat power can be exerted to the 9th level. Material replenishment, personnel transportation, and cross-regional commercial exchanges will all begin to change rapidly because of the northwest line, this artery. Of course, it will take some time for the people to accept and adapt. The expenditure and income of passenger cars have just been equalized, but the trucks have begun to make profits, and the situation is very good. The Emperor of Tang also sent people to Xinghua Fang to discuss the railway construction of the new line at the same time. Yun boy, you and Lena did a good job today, but how are you preparing for tomorrow's matter? The family reunited and shared the Mid-Autumn Festival. The world was peaceful and prosperous, and everyone's face was filled with sincere smiles. The Emperor of Tang held a family banquet in the palace. In addition to the princes and princesses, Yun Yi was also present. In the face of Empress Changson's inquiry, Yun Yi also smiled and nodded, indicating that he was very confident. Don't worry, master, you can go tomorrow. Haha, Lianlin, who was pretty and more dignified and beautiful, looked at Yun Yi and the queen getting close, and she also smiled, with indescribable happiness and happiness on her face. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 Autumn Polo Tournament. When you are active, you want to be quiet. When you are quiet, you want to be active. Autumn is in full swing. The sky is high and the air is fresh, and life has been rich and peaceful for a long time. After all, people like Luo Wen who have no desire for external things are rare. Everyone in the world is like Yun Yi, with their own little thoughts and their own 7 emotions and 6 desires. After watching too many singing and dancing performances, I want to watch some intense competitive sports and activities that show the masculine posture, such as the most popular polo in this era. Under the instruction of Empress Changsun, Yun Yi successfully eased the cold relationship between the Emperor of Tang and the Emperor Taishang with a set of mahjong. The father and son confided their true feelings, which can be regarded as resolving the past grudges, and no longer being so at odds with each other. Boss, do you need me to turn down the invitation from the tongueless eunuch? The fruit trees are fragrant, the brook is gurgling, and still on that round stone. Apart from his residence, workshop, and Spark University, this is basically the only place where you can find a Luo Wen polo match. Since the Emperor of Tang has invited me so kindly, I will go and take a look. By the way, is the construction of the secret arsenal going smoothly? Well, everything is going well. In a few days, we should be able to see the finished products of the various weapons that the boss has entrusted us to do. By then, the Emperor of Tang will surely come to inspect them in person. Well, that's great. In Chang'an City, in addition to Wei Zheng who was guarding the city gate, there was also a group of Shandong scholars who were speaking up for Wei Zheng. Under the leadership of the great scholar Lu Xiao, they were sitting in silent protest. Wei Zheng came from a Shandong gentry, and Lu Xiao's purpose was obvious. A slender female figure was in a very awkward situation on both sides, because the person sitting here was her grandfather, and the one being pressured was his majesty, but the Emperor of Tang was Li Chengqian's father. She was also in a very awkward situation, and she only hoped that the prince outside the city would not blame her for not being there. Grandpa, can we all drink some water? Lu Zhenai carried a bamboo basket, poured cold boiled water from the pottery jar inside, and brought it to the white-haired old man kneeling on the ground. The depression and reluctance on her face also made people feel pity. Jua, stop working and go back. Wow. Creak, creak. A pair of soldiers, followed by a serious middle-aged civil official, came to the front of the crowd. Plop, master. Don't work too. Why are you doing this? Worrying so much about such a foolish monarch? Why don't you just go back to my hometown in Shandong with me? The person who came was Wei Zheng, the head of the civil officials, who was punished to guard the city gate. Alas, master, I understand your kindness, and I admire you from the bottom of my heart, but I, Wei Zheng, have no talent. I just want to be worthy of the emperor and the people. Guarding the city gate is also for the safety of the people. I should do my best in this position, and must not be a celestial being. Okay, you said you are stubborn. This, alas. Lu Xiao is a great Confucian scholar in Shandong, and he is also Wei Zheng's teacher. Both of them are doing it for the good of each other, but Lu Xiao has made up his mind, and it is obvious that he will not give up easily this time. Wei Zheng, in addition to leaving soldiers to guard and prevent the people from colliding with the crowd, could only return to his post as the city gate officer. Everyone is here early. Haha. Hello, sir. You are too polite, General. Amidst the peaceful and warm greetings, Emperor Li Shimin of the Tang Dynasty and Empress Zhangzhen, under the protection of palace maids, eunuchs, and the Praetorian guards, climbed onto the high stands. Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor! Your Majesty, and Your Majesty, the Empress. Okay, everyone get up. Today, the Emperor and his subjects are having fun together. Everyone, relax a little and sit down. Haha. The Tang Emperor seemed to be in a good mood, and those reserved civil and military officials also found their own seats. Under the stands, there was an open and flat field. The grass on it was mostly withered yellow and dark green. After all, it was late autumn, and everything was about to wither and die. A group of young men and women holding horses were making final preparations before the game, adjusting the tightness of the reins, and wiping their polo sticks. Others were commenting and making bold statements about how they would perform in front of everyone today. Polo matches do not restrict genders. Moreover, the Tang dynasty was open-minded, and the people below were all children of the rich and powerful. Naturally, each of them was a dragon and phoenix among men, with a strong and agile figure. Surrounded by the Praetorian guards and the Imperial guards, it was not so easy to find ordinary people here. Your Majesty, the auspicious time has arrived, and we can start. Why didn't the Immortal Master come? Reporting to Your Majesty, maybe the Immortal Master was busy, so he was delayed. Oh, then let's start first. Play music, and the game begins. In the middle of the high platform sat the Emperor and the Empress, and on the left and right were the civil and military officials. But next to the Emperor, the seats of the same height were empty at this time, which was a little strange. Woo, woo, dong dong, dong dong. The horn sounded, and the leather drums were also struck. The Tang Emperor threw down the metal polo ball. The men's and women's teams on both sides were also concentrating, and their bodies were filled with solemnity and seriousness. Go, go, bang. The men's team wore brown clothes, and the women's team wore white clothes, each wearing protective gear. Although the men's team was strong and long, the women's team was flexible and agile. However, in the first confrontation, the leader Princess Anyang grabbed the polo ball with a sideways shot. Guanyin, this year's men's team is in high spirits and morale. I will definitely get revenge this year. Oh, the women's team has never been at a disadvantage since the start of this game. Your Majesty, aren't you used to losing? Don't you allow others to catch up? Your Majesty, don't just focus on watching the game. China's lifelong event is the top priority. Okay, I'm watching. On the high platform, the Emperor and Empress of Tang were watching the game intently, and the civil and military officials were discussing and cheering. On the field, both men and women were playing back and forth, showing off their youthful energy. The red chips were held high, and the women's team, cheering sweetly, took the lead. The men's team should have taken advantage of their physical strength and size, and overshadowed the women's team with their overwhelming momentum. However, noble men and women always had to give way to each other in the past. However, this year was a little different, because the women's team had an extra polo expert, or should we call him a martial arts expert. No matter how hard the men's team fought, they were always one step behind. They really couldn't defend the Princess Anyang. Lianlin gave full play to her speed and flexibility. As a woman, she was as good as a man. She used the polo ball to penetrate the goalkeeper's defense and hit the drumstick, winning 3 red flowers. However, Yan Yi on the men's team seemed to have some secret deal with Lianlin. After the women's team's limelight, they quickly began to shrink their formation and no longer acted so aggressively and impressively. Although it looks extremely rough, it is also quite ornamental. If a large screen is installed and a sports stadium is specially built, it can provide a lot of jobs, drive the development of the entertainment industry, and promote economic diversification. Luo Wen did not go to greet Emperor Tang because he did not want to attract attention and avoid distracting everyone's attention from the game. That's why he used the invisibility technique and went straight to the top of a watchtower. Emperor Tang and Empress, it seems that they are not only watching the game this time, but also coming with the purpose of selecting the crown princess. looking around the entire venue. In addition to the best positioned long stand in the east, where Emperor Tang, Empress, and civil and military officials are, there are 3 slightly shorter stands around, where the elderly female relatives and servants are also very lively and noisy. And these officials and women from the powerful families are also clear, and it is the best opportunity to show up. The game time is up. The men's team wins. Haha, Luo Wen didn't care what Yun Yi and Lianlin were talking about, and was about to turn around and leave. With a cry of pain, a man from the men's team fell off his horse and onto the field. His right knee was covered in blood, and it was obvious that he was seriously injured. This, Huayu? Qin Huayu, the son of Qin Kaian. It seems that his calf cannot be saved today. Luo Wen looked at the chaos in the field and did not continue to leave. Instead, he followed the convoy silently, wanting to take the opportunity to visit Chang'an City. Chapter 171, Winning People's Hearts. Make way, make way. The Emperor of Tang is going back to the city. Everyone make way. The Praetorian guards led the way in front, and from the anxious convoy behind, there were occasional cries and worried greetings from women. The polo match venue was 5 miles away from the Yangtze Gate of the East Gate. The large army returned to the city quickly, and it took only half an incense stick of time. However, the long convoy suddenly stopped outside the Yangtze Gate and could not continue to move forward. What's going on? Why haven't you entered the city yet? Reporting to His Royal Highness, the Shandong Confucian scholar and 100 scholars are sitting quietly at the city gate and are unwilling to make way. Prime Minister Wei is negotiating with them. This Shandong Confucian scholar, isn't that Xinyu's grandfather? Li Chengqian didn't know what to do at this moment. Not only was Qin Huayu seriously injured and needed to return to the city for treatment, but his father, the emperor, the queen mother, and the civil and military officials were all waiting in long queues. Mr. Lu, isn't this going to offend everyone? Arsehole, how dare he block my carriage here? Chen Qian, then let me go and see for myself. What exactly does he want to do? The Emperor of Tang, who was sitting in the carriage, had obviously heard the report of the messenger. He lifted the curtain of the carriage, and his face was full of anger. Master, please open the city gate quickly. Prime Minister Wei, don't be impulsive. At the gate of the city, it was already a mess. In addition to dozens of Confucian scholars, many people were exhausted and forced to leave early. The soldiers who surrounded them in groups, with their hands on their waist swords, did not dare to step forward. After all, the leader of the Confucian scholars was the world-famous Confucian scholar Lu Xiao. The soldiers in the city stood on both sides of the street, and the people who were whispering to each other were also watching the excitement. Today, there were civil officials, military generals, and the drama of great Confucian scholars and the Emperor of Tang. They usually had no chance to see it. Grandpa, please get up quickly, otherwise Prime Minister Wei will really commit suicide here. How can you bear it? Don't stop me. Wei Zheng saw the commotion outside the city and couldn't persuade old Master Lu. He had to take a knife and decided to die to thank the master for his teachings. Perhaps only in this way, old Master Lu wouldn't have to break the law and challenge the Majesty's majesty. The old man who persuaded both sides and tried his best to stop Wei Zheng from committing suicide was Hao Junji, who was idle in the court. Wow, tap, tap, don't rush, Zuancheng. With a loud shout, a group of people walked in from outside the city gate and instantly extinguished the fight between the two people who were fighting to the death at the door. Your Majesty. What are you doing? Your Majesty, I failed to execute the imperial order, and I can only die to apologize. Oh, what a proud civil official. What an apology with death. Shut up. You are my good minister. I don't want you to die. You can't die. Prime Minister Wei, listen to my advice. Alas, Hao Junji grabbed the sword, and Wei Zheng also clasped his hands and gave up the idea of seeking to make his own will clear. I obey your order. Humph, what a wise monarch and virtuous minister. Since he is a good minister, why doesn't he serve in the court, but guards the city gate here? Wei Zheng on this side regained his composure, but Lu Xiao, who was kneeling on the ground, broke the scene of harmony between the monarch and his ministers. How dare you? The emperor is here, and you can't kneel down and pay homage. Hey, tongueless. Old Lu, since you don't have me as your emperor, then there is no need for me to treat you as a minister. A commoner who despises the imperial power and dares to interfere in state affairs. Is this the etiquette and moral principles that you usually preach? This, your majesty. Old Lu was just confused for a moment. The Tang emperor got angry and obviously wanted to kill him. How could Wei Zheng watch his teacher continue to go down this path? Prime Minister Wei, Old Lu, there are wounded outside the city. We can't delay any longer. I hope the road can be cleared. Li Chengqian saw that the stalemate was unbending, so he had to step forward to interrupt them. Old Lu, did you hear that? Now is not the time for you to be willful and throw a tantrum. The older people get, the weirder their tempers become. At this moment, Old Lu gave people such a feeling, but for Old Lu, the faith and the morality that he upholds, how can the life and death of an individual be compared with it? Wei Zheng, today we are here to seek justice for you. Your Majesty, if you don't admit your mistakes, I won't get up. What a good, if you don't admit your mistakes, you won't get up. Lu Shao is obviously asking for trouble, and Wei Zheng himself didn't say anything. He is a role model, but he is here to force himself to stand out, not judging right and wrong according to etiquette, but standing on the moral high ground to kidnap everyone present. What a world famous Shandong scholar. What a joke. This is a matter between me and Zuancheng. If Zuancheng has any dissatisfaction, he will tell me in person. It is not your turn to interfere. Moral kidnapping has never disappeared, whether in modern times or in ancient times, at any time and anywhere. Without the ability of the immortal master Luo Wen, nor the down-to-earth conduct of the immortal master, Lu Shao's behavior at this time is really unreasonable. Old man Lu Shao, my son's life is in danger now. Please open the city gate for me quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for bullying the old, weak, women and children. King Kaiang, with red eyes, rushed from the back. His eyes passed through the Shandong scholars one by one, and they were just about to fight. If General Qin wants to enter the city, it's not difficult. Just step over us. That's right. Just step over us. That's right. That's right. Integrity is what scholars value most. No matter how outsiders evaluate it, in their hearts, it is better to die with honor than to live in disgrace. Being able to compete with things and people that are obviously wrong is the meaning of their lives. You are openly rebelling. Wei Zheng, I'm here. According to the laws of the Tang dynasty, how should open rebellion be dealt with? The patience on the face of the Tang emperor has also reached its limit. When he speaks again, it is to show his murderous intentions and no longer think of easing. Your Majesty, please calm down. Elder Lu has absolutely no intention of disobeying you. Father, whether it was Li Chengqian's request, Wei Zheng's advice, or Cheng Chumo's sudden threat, none of them could shake Lu Shao's firm will. It was just that Li Anlan suddenly knelt on the ground, which temporarily calmed the tense scene. Prime Minister Wei strictly abides by the law and adheres to loyalty. His heart is clear. He spoke boldly that day in order to protect father from criticism from the outside world. This matter started with Anlan, and it should end with Anlan. Li Anlan's words were righteous and awe-inspiring, which made everyone feel very considerate and favorable towards her. Prime Minister Wei, it's Anlan's fault. Please accept Anlan's bow. No, absolutely not, Princess. Please don't embarrass me. Please stand up quickly. Please stand up quickly. No matter how Wei Zheng used to target Li Anlan's background, that was his duty in principle as a loyal and upright official. He didn't really have any opinion on Li Anlan personally. Now Li Anlan is the eldest princess of the Tang dynasty. She is the master in terms of emotion and reason, and Wei Zheng, as a minister, how can he accept her bow? He can't, and he dare not. Since ancient times, only ministers have bowed to the king. How can the king bow to the minister? From ancient times to the present, people in the world have silently accepted this set of conventional sayings. The king is above, the minister is below, and the people are the foundation. Wei Zheng is a human mirror, but what can he do? He still believes in the king, minister, father, sunset. What the blue sky is dead, the yellow sky should be established, and what water can carry a boat, but can also overturn it are no longer popular at this time. Your Majesty, I have been thinking for a long time during the days of guarding the city. Since I'm your subject, I have not done my duty well, so I should be punished. Father, Prime Minister Wei was implicated because of me, and Lan feels really bad. Please allow Lan to be punished on his behalf. Father, you cannot live without a good minister by your side for a day. Please order that Prime Minister Wei be reinstated. Princess Anyang is such a reasonable person. Everyone just realized that they had looked down on her before. Please order Prime Minister Wei to be reinstated. Your Majesty, please order that Prime Minister Wei be reinstated. The farce ended there. But old Luo, who was just shouting, was obviously still dissatisfied in his heart because the Emperor of Tang did not say that it was his fault that caused Wei Zheng's demotion. As a minister, Wei Zheng was willing to be punished. This obviously did not conform to his ambition and concept of the emperor and the gentry rule the world together. Although Lu Shao is pedantic, his idea of equality between the emperor and the nobles is also the beginning of the idea of equality for all. It's just that it's still a long way off. Creak, creak. Luo Wen sat on the roof of the carriage without anyone noticing. His eyes only lingered on the woman who was talking to Li Qingqian, and a complex emotion flashed across his face. Xinyu. Perhaps being a crown princess is more suitable for you. Chapter 172. Quick, quick, miracle doctor, come out and save people. Emperor Tang returned to the palace. The civil and military officials were discussing what they had seen and heard today and returned to their own residences. A large carriage, pulling the injured Qin Huaiyu, turned the car around and headed straight for the clinic. In addition to Yan Yi, Lianlan and Qin Kaiang, there was also Luo Wen on the roof of the car who was watching the excitement. Creak, creak. Lianlan was invited to wait outside the house by the miracle doctor in the house because of her noble status. At this time, she was hesitating, with a face full of worry and tension. Sister. Two more people rushed into the clinic. Perhaps they were too late. They all wore the same competition suits and didn't even take off the forehead protectors on their heads. Sister, how is Huaiyu now? Still being treated. Have the others left? Both of them called Lianlan sister. It was obvious that in addition to Li Qingqian, who Luo Wen was familiar with, the other one must also be a prince. Chuemo and Miss Hai are all yelling and refusing to leave. I've had them forcibly sent back, fearing that they might cause more trouble. Tap, tap. Before they could catch their breath, footsteps were heard again on the second floor of the clinic. The one walking down the stairs was none other than Yan Yi, who was dressed in a white robe, making himself look like a doctor. Yan Yi, tell me quickly, how is Huaiyu? Tell me quickly. Alas, fortunately, Dr. Sun is here. Huaiyu's life is saved, but the area below the calf may not be saved. Is it that serious? I want to go in and take a look. No, General Qin is with him inside. I'm afraid his wound will get infected. Try to keep him away from outsiders as little as possible. Yan Yi still has a lot of say among this group of people, especially when he gets serious. Everyone listens to his opinions. This time, thanks to young Xianan and my sister, if Huaiyu is really in danger of her life, I really don't know how to face General Qin. A handsome young prince with a modest look. Luo Wen recalled the information Chen Xinwen gave him and guessed that this person should be the second Prince Lite. It's just that I don't understand. In this world, whether it is the crown prince or the king of Wei, they should be the only candidates for the throne. It's not like the real history that makes an unattended Li Zhi the emperor. Okay, this matter can't be blamed entirely on you. Fortunately, his life is not in danger. Now we can do whatever we can and do our best. Also, there are not enough people here. You go find some imperial doctors to take care of him in shifts. Okay, I'll report the situation here to my father. Then I'll find the imperial doctor. The crown prince and the king of Wei came together, and now they rushed out again, leaving only Yan Yi and Lianlan, who looked at each other and sighed at the impermanence of the world. The sun was setting, and it was already past Shenxi, which was 5 p.m. Although the two of them sat on the steps in the courtyard tiredly, they were weak and hungry for a day, but no one mentioned eating, because they had no appetite, and were not in the mood for the time being. Luo Wen, who was sitting silently in the pavilion, lifted the invisibility spell at this time, looking at the man and woman with their backs to him, and listened to them talking about their own thoughts. I'm sorry, are you still angry with me? Lianlun was speculating and uneasy about accidentally breaking the pendant of Yunyi's sweetheart on the court. How can I be angry with you? I just hope that brother Huoyu can get better soon. But Yunyi seemed to have completely let go of the past and did not mean to blame Lianlun. This matter is probably not that easy. If you have any difficulties, just look for me. The two sat side by side on the steps. Not only did they not notice that there was another person behind them, but they were also a little restrained when they spoke, just like two ancient people who strictly abided by the duties of men and women. You should take care of yourself first. Yunyi seemed to have something to say, but he only started to say it, and did not say it all at once. What did I do wrong again? Well, you didn't do anything wrong. Today at the city gate, princess, you have performed a great deed. Not only did you take the opportunity to win over Prime Minister Wei, but you also showed off in front of the civil and military officials. You have really made great progress. Then I must have some people to help me in the court. You know that I'm all alone, and except for my grandfather the emperor who has helped me once, no one can speak for me. Winning over a few ministers, isn't it also for the purpose of posthumously conferring a title on my mother? Hiss, oops, then am I not a human being? Yunyi seemed to be very unhappy with Lianlun's words, and the tone revealed in his words completely regarded himself as a boyfriend. Oh, are you concerned about me? I just want to remind you that the gun shoots the bird that sticks out. Although you seem to have done a good job today, you may have aroused suspicion from some forces. You'd better not do this in the future. I know my own business, but you are like this. I really don't know how to repay you. As he spoke, Lianlun's mood fell again, as if he had other secrets in his heart. Hey, don't get me wrong, isn't it normal for friends to help each other? Didn't you also let me win during the game today? Humph, I help you out of my own will, and I don't need your return. Yunyi's attitude of refusing to admit it angered Lianlun, and the expression on his face, which was originally as blooming as a flower, was restrained at this time. Come on, just pretend I didn't say anything. I'm wrong, isn't that enough? Forget it. I have something else to do. Goodbye. Hey, Master Luo. Why are you here? When did you come? Brother Luo? The two of them shifted their attention at the same time, but accidentally found that there was someone sitting behind them. He had a gentle face and a hint of teasing in his eyes. Suddenly, Yunyi and Lianlun both had shy expressions on their faces, obviously thinking of something. Just call me by my name. After all, we have known each other for quite some time. Luo Wen, Mr. Luo, whatever you feel like. Mr. Luo, Lianlun nodded his head inaudibly, and his heart was filled with infinite joy. With Luo Wen's recognition, the entire Chang'an city combined could not compare to him. Brother Luo, when did you come? I haven't seen you for more than half a year. Well, I came when you were competing in the morning, but I didn't let you see me. Why, did you encounter a lot of situations today? Haha, no matter when, Luo Wen, who was free and easy, could always laugh, just like a passerby experiencing life. But for Yunyi and Lianlun, they didn't have Luo Wen's earth-shattering skills, and they could only do things in the way of ordinary people. Hey, by the way, Brother Luo, since you are here, can you help me? Qin Huoyu in the room broke his leg, and can only be amputated now. What do you think? Mr. Luo, and Lun also wants to ask you to help us with this? Yunyi and Lianlun were in a good mood, and felt a sense of good fortune for Luo Wen, who suddenly appeared and showed goodwill to them again. Luo Wen did not test their patience anymore. He nodded gently, and turned his hand, and a white jade bottle appeared in his hand. There is a regeneration pill in it, which can heal his injuries. Take it. Ah. Such a magical medicine. Does it not even require magical powers to be cast? Brother Luo, have you made another breakthrough in strength? Thank you, Mr. Luo. Chapter 173, The Four Turkic Tribes. The next morning, at the court session, all the civil and military officials were silent, not daring to breathe, because the Emperor of Tang, who was sitting on the golden chair, had already strode down the steps, with a frosty face, as if the anger in his chest could no longer be suppressed, and was about to burst out. Bastard, why did you report the news to me now? There must be signs before a severe drought. You have explained it to me clearly. Why did I have to wait until the victims flowed to other prefectures and caused chaos before I knew about it? The memorial was thrown to the ground, and all the civil and military officials were even more silent. They did not dare to look up and look at the Emperor of Tang. Your Majesty, Shandong has suffered disasters every year. We thought that the disaster would be alleviated after the autumn harvest, but unexpectedly, this year's crops have not matured yet, and the yield has been reduced by more than 9 levels, so the disaster is so serious. At this time, the only one who dared to step forward and speak frankly was Wei Zheng, who had been reinstated. Alas, Shandong is a populous area. The most urgent task is to appease the victims and collect food and grass for disaster relief from other prefectures as soon as possible. If the victims flow to the surrounding prefectures, I'm afraid the situation will become increasingly out of control. Your Majesty, this distant water cannot quench the immediate thirst. I'm afraid that chaos is inevitable. Your Majesty, there are many local nobles in Shandong, and every family stores grain. I think that if each family can donate part of the surplus, although this move cannot completely reverse the disaster situation, it should be more than enough to appease the refugees and wait for relief from other prefectures. Prime Minister Wei, what do you think? I have failed in my duty and cannot estimate the private grain of the noble families. Donate grain? Then should I pay it back? As the uncle of the king, Changsun Wuji was also named Duke of Zhao. Of course, he was wholeheartedly dedicated to the Li family. But Wei Zheng was from Shandong, and yesterday he chilled the sincere hearts of Shandong scholars. At this time, go and persuade them to donate grain. Although Wei Zheng was upright, he was not so stupid. It was not that he was unwilling to sacrifice his reputation, but anyone who went to mediate would have a greater chance of success than him. Duke Zhao, you are too vindictive. Well, if we want to convince the Shandong gentry, don't we just have to find that stubborn old man Lu Xiao? He hates me to death, so how could he be kind enough to help me? Unless I go to ask him in person, it would be useless for anyone to go. Alas. The officials in the court, except for sighing, seem to have no ability to solve the food problem of tens of millions of people. It's not that they can't think of a solution, but all the solutions take time to implement. But what they need most now is time. Your Majesty, Minister of Rights, does he have a solution? Don't say anything. Just do the things about your Ministry of Rights, offering sacrifices to heaven and praying for rain for me. Your Majesty, I want to report that the 4 Turkic princes who are waiting for your summons are already waiting outside the palace. Perhaps our Tang dynasty can trade with them. Humph, the wolf's ambition is known to everyone. I'm afraid that the real purpose of trade is to rob merchants, right? The 4 Turkic princes request an audience. Summon. The eunuch outside the hall has already called loudly. In the hall, the monarch and his ministers have already dressed up and put on the bearing and attitude of the great Tang dynasty. We must not let the Turkic foreign countries look down on the Tang dynasty because of a small drought. 8 white horses, 100 white sheep, 2 swords, 3 amber cups, a pair of agate tables, 5 brocade quilts, 20 jars of milk, 5 axes. The gift list is complete. He looked arrogant and rude. Perhaps in the eyes of the 4 Turkic princes, this was already a great honor to the Emperor of Tang. But the civil and military officials in the court were secretly resentful. The barbarians were really uncivilized barbarians. They dared to come to pay tribute with such broken, copper and rotten iron. Your Majesty, the leather cloak in the gift list is very warm. Even the ice and snow in the severe winter can't do anything to it. The clothes he wore and the ornaments on his head were very different from the customs of the Tang dynasty. They were rough and primitive everywhere. Well, but the prince is thoughtful. And those enamel bones are also precious medicinal materials, which have the effect of prolonging life. Prince Ashina, I like the gift you gave me very much. I have also found a very good Hessian jade recently. I will immediately ask the craftsman to process and carve it and give it to you as a return gift. No matter how precious it is, whether it is a leather cloak or a pile of animal bones, it is a tribute gift after all. The Tang dynasty is a country of treasures and etiquette. No matter how much the Emperor of Tang despises it in his heart, he still has to show his glad acceptance to the foreign princes. Your Majesty, only you can accept such auspicious things. It would be a shame to give them to me or them. The person who spoke was always Prince Ashina, and his attitude was extremely humble, so that people could not find an excuse to refute. You are too polite, my princes. Oh, we Turks are crude. We raise some livestock and collect some animal skins and bones for your majesty, but we just want to exchange them for some food. Your majesty is kind, so I believe he will agree to our request. It's also for food. Did they already know about the drought in Shandong? Father, the Turkic customs are unique and very different from those of our Tang dynasty. I'm afraid they can't get used to the food we eat. The best selling item of the Turkic merchants is the Tang dynasty porcelain. If we take this as a return gift, it would be the best. Haha, Li Chengqian's remarks made the Emperor of Tang very happy. The 4 Turkic princes, who were originally full of pride and had their plans in mind, couldn't help but frown at this time, and their expressions became a little unnatural. Hey, no need for bottles and jars. We like your food, rice, millet, rice, haha. He was rude and had no respect for others. This man was obviously not as cunning as Ashina. It can be seen from this that their purpose of coming here must be not simple. Your Majesty, please forgive Jishunu's poor language skills. He still yearns for the culture of the Tang dynasty, but he just lacks a good teacher. Ashina explained in unison, as if they had been rehearsed. It doesn't matter. If he wants to learn, I can arrange it. Plop, Your Majesty, please grant us the marriage of the Tang princess. What? The Tang emperor said something casually, but the 3 Turkic princes opposite took it seriously. They knelt on the ground and asked for the marriage. Oh, you Turks yearn for Tang culture and like Tang women. In this case, why don't you present a memorial to bring the Turkic tribes under the jurisdiction of Tang? Luo Wen walked into the hall step by step, and the civil and military officials who were talking in the court suddenly quieted down. Master, why did you come suddenly? I waited for a long time at the polo match yesterday, but I didn't see you. Haha. The respect on the face of the Tang emperor and the relaxed atmosphere in the hall made the 4 Turkic princes, who had their own thoughts, suddenly become confused. Your Majesty, who is this person? Why can he break into the hall without being informed? And when he saw Your Majesty, he didn't know the hierarchy. I'm afraid that such a person is not even as good as us Turks. Oh, is he trying to sow discord and kill people? He never mentioned Luo Wen's suggestion, but found an excuse to test the relationship between the Emperor of Tang and Luo Wen. This Ashina seemed to have some quick wits. Prince Ashina, you don't know that the immortal master is a hermit. I have been in contact with him for a long time, but I have been asking for it. By the way, why don't you seriously consider what the immortal master said? Your Majesty, we have lived in the barren land of the western regions for generations, and we are used to raising sheep and horses. If we are suddenly merged into the Tang dynasty, I'm afraid that the Turkic tribes will be uncomfortable. Why don't we go back and discuss it carefully? Haha, don't be hypocritical. What you want is nothing but a free gift. What do you mean by yearning for the Tang dynasty culture and paying tribute? Emperor Tang, I think the scenery outside the Great Wall is very vast. Why don't you ride a horse and tour it yourself? What do you think? After Luo Wen laughed, he ignored the 4 angry Turkic princes and said in front of them that he would take action to take their land himself. Master, are you kidding? The Tang emperor and all the civil and military officials were all flushed and excited. If they were to send troops to the Tang dynasty, they would certainly not be able to defeat the Turks, who had a vast territory and a sparse population, and grew up on horseback. But if it was Master Luo Wen, the result would be very different. A word is spoken, and it cannot be taken back. Although I'm not your subject, I still have Han blood in my body. The Turkic tribes have been wantonly oppressing the people on the border, and dreaming of such a great dream. They are even worthy of being granted marriage by the princess of the Tang dynasty. Haha, 4 princes, did you hear that? You can go now. When 2 countries are at war, envoys will not be killed. Go back and prepare quickly. Soon, my Tang dynasty will come to conquer your territory. Chapter 174 Drought. Master, I have driven away the Turkic prince. As for the vast territory of the western regions, what do you think? The reason why the Emperor of Tang dared to do this was entirely because of Luo Wen. He had such ability and power, but the master had never shown any ambition. Why was he so angry today, and why was he so talking nonsense? I came here today to solve the difficulties. Difficulties? Master, it's not that I don't believe you, old Cheng, but the Turkic territory is not smaller than that of our Tang dynasty. Moreover, our Tang dynasty is now facing a drought in Shandong, with victims everywhere. How can we dispatch troops to conquer the Turkic? Yes, Master, conquering the Turkic is certainly gratifying, but now is not the best time. No matter what attitude the civil and military officials had towards Luo Wen before, they should have been more afraid, respected, curious, discussed, and feared than recognized. But today, in front of the Turkic prince, they suddenly felt that the master was one of their own and a very respectable person. Master, it's not that I don't believe you. With the current national strength of our Tang dynasty, it is indeed not that easy to conquer the entire Turkic territory. Drought in Shandong, refugees are everywhere. I have ordered the spark shops in various places to send food to Shandong. It is estimated that work for relief should be started in the next 2 days, so that those hungry victims can have something to do and earn food to make a living. Master, there are tens of millions of victims in Shandong. Yes, and with so many people, how can there be so many things to arrange for them to do? The Spark Shop has allocated 10 million tons of grain. Oh, that is 200 million shi, which should allow the victims to support until next year's spring planting. As for what to do, of course it is to build roads. 1 shi of grain in the Tang dynasty was about 100 jin, and the numbers from Luo Wen's mouth made the whole court dizzy. 200 million shi. Master, is this going to require each victim to eat an average of 20 shi of grain? This is not disaster relief, it's just to make them full and full. Why does Xinhua Fang have so much food? Okay, let's talk about this later. Today, there is something more important that I want you to see together. What is the immortal master talking about? Emperor Tang's heart moved, as if he thought of something. Wash and Chen Xinwen, the general manager of Xinhua Fang, usually have contact. Not long ago, there was news that the new weapon developed by Xinhua Fang was about to be mass-produced. Could it be? Haha, the sky is clear and the air is refreshing today. How about the Emperor of Tang and all the ministers accompany me for a walk to the suburbs? Queen, it's bad, it's bad. The 4 Turkic princes in the hall suddenly asked Your Majesty to grant them a marriage. This is going to be bad. What? Really? But the previous tension was replaced by a smiling and joyful expression. Hey, girl, if you have something to say it quickly. Who did you learn to be so unruly? Oh, the 4 Turkic princes asked Your Majesty to grant them a marriage. The whole court was stunned. The immortal master suddenly appeared. Not only did he shock them away with a few words, but he also said that he would conquer the western regions and take all the territories of the Turks. Doesn't that mean our Tang dynasty will have to go through wars again and again? We have finally rested and recuperated, and now it will cost us a lot of money and labor again. Your Highness, this can't be blamed on our Tang dynasty. It's because the Turks are too presumptuous. They actually want our Tang princess to marry. We should teach them a lesson. Humph, the Tang dynasty was full of martial spirit. Even a maidservant in the palace was not afraid of the military threat from foreign countries. When insulted, she even thought of retaliating. It was incredible. You didn't tell other people about this news, did you? Especially the princesses? Oh, that's not the case. As soon as I knew the news, I ran over to tell Your Majesty the Queen. That's good. Wait a minute. His Majesty has arrived. One-eyed maidservant, hurry up, pack up, take the princess and the prince, and let's go to the Xinhua Fanging mansion together. The ministers have already gone home with their families. The immortal master will show us something later. I'm sure it will open our eyes and astonish us. As soon as the Tang Emperor entered the harem, he urged Empress Zhangxin impatiently, as if he was afraid that, if he delayed for too long, he would not be able to catch up. All the princesses and princes have to go? What if something unexpected happens? Empress Changsun did not explain, but her worry was obvious. Hey, this time it was invited by the immortal master. If there is really an accident, there is no need to wait until today. The immortal master always goes in and out of the palace, as if there is no one. Go and call them quickly. We have to leave the city later. What the Tang Emperor said made sense, and Empress Changsun did not say anything more. Someone, quickly notify all the princes and princesses to gather in my palace within half an incense stick. Yes. Humph, you are absent-minded. If you don't want to study, go call a servant. Grandpa, once this article is published, we will have no room for communication with the royal family. In the study of the Lu mansion, there was a solemn scent of ink, and Lu Xiao, who was writing furiously, was having a disagreement with Lu Zhenyu. Well, just because we are afraid of the imperial power, do we give up justice and go along with them? Zhenyu is not afraid of the imperial power. Zhenyu is just worried that the people in her hometown will be implicated because of this matter. Then, alas, it is the responsibility of the great Confucian scholars in Shandong to maintain etiquette and morality. However, it is not appropriate for a girl like you to be involved. So, I will send someone to escort you back to your hometown in Shandong in the next 2 days, to prevent the prince from bothering you all day long. Grandpa, Zhenyu doesn't want to go back. Zhenyu just wants to stay with you here. Do you want to accompany me or the prince? Master, something bad has happened. Tap, tap. Before Lu Zhenyu could respond, a panicked Confucian disciple suddenly ran in from outside the door. There is news from Shandong. Hoo-hoo. Why are you panicking? You have no manners at all. Tell me, what happened? Master, there was a severe drought in my hometown in Shandong. The crops had failed. Now, there are starving people everywhere. Woo woo. Have the stored grains been distributed? It seems that Lu Xiao is not as selfish as the Tang Emperor thought, nor does he not know the priorities. What distribution? The stored grains of the noble families have been robbed by the hungry people. Now they can only feed their own families. They can't last for 7 days. What? Lu Xiao and Lu Zhenyu were both terrified. They stood up from the futon anxiously. No, I want to go to the palace. Grandpa, what about this article? What article? As long as it can save the Shandong disaster victims, I don't care about my reputation. Lu Xiao is willing to break the law for his ideals, but compared with the lives of tens of millions of people in his hometown, this so-called righteousness has to be put aside. Master, someone from the palace has come to announce the decree. The emperor has ordered Lu Xiao and Lu Zhenyu to go to Mingde Gate immediately, without any mistakes. Mingde Gate. Why is it not the palace, but the South Gate? Eunuch, may I ask you one more question? Why does His Majesty want my grandfather and I to go to Mingde Gate suddenly now? This matter is related to the Immortal Master. Not only His Majesty and all the civil and military officials are gathered at Mingde Gate, but even many dignitaries in Chang'an City have received the Imperial Edict. Oh, by the way, Mr. Luo and Miss Zhenyu were specially instructed by the Immortal Master, and His Majesty specifically asked them to send someone to invite them. Immortal Master? Master Luo, teacher? Lu Xiao and Lu Zhenyu both looked confused and puzzled. However, with such a big move, they also had a premonition that something big was going to happen. No matter whether Lu Xiao was about to go to the palace to meet the emperor, or Lu Zhenyu had not seen her teacher for a long time, they both silently followed the eunuch who delivered the edict, and went straight to Mingde Gate. Chapter 175 Display. Ashina, what should we do now? The emperor of the Tang dynasty not only did not fall for our trick, but also did not return the gift or grant the marriage. Now he has given us a deadline to leave the territory of the Tang dynasty. What should we do now? Jishunu looked fierce, and there was no trace of his simplicity in the palace hall. His cunning eyes flashed from time to time. Hush, this is not our Turkic people. When you talk, be careful that there are ears on the wall. Princes, please pack your luggage quickly. The guards have been prepared. Please move faster, so that we can go back and report. In the state guest house of the Hanglu temple, the servants and maids who were originally serving disappeared at this time. Instead, the Praetorian guards, with their hands on their waist swords, stood in the guest house from outside. After the 4 princes gathered in a room, the eunuchs who were responsible for escorting, supervising them to leave also stayed with them, urging them to leave quickly through the door. Ashina, this time it was because of your proposal that we came to the Tang dynasty. Now not only did we not get any benefits, but that damn immortal master even persuaded the Emperor of Tang to go to war with our Turks and said that he would conquer our entire Turks. Just rely on him? The other two princes were also silent at this time, but the disdain revealed in their words showed that they had never considered the possibility that the Tang dynasty could invade the Turks. Hush, please don't blame us, eunuch. We have a lot of luggage. Please give us more time. Okay, then I will give you another half an incense stick. Ashina spoke to the outside in a kind voice, and the eunuch in charge of supervision did not continue to speak, obviously selling face to these princes. This time in the Tang dynasty, there are indeed many new and strange changes, but the time is still short, and we only know a little about many things. Now our immortal master has jumped out. I guess he is the owner of the Spark Shop, Luo Wen, who we are looking for. Ah. Spark Shop. Ashina, what about us? Don't ask questions first. Let me finish what I want to say. The Emperor of Tang has sent people to urge us to leave. I need to get away and go there to collect intelligence in person. You must help me cover my whereabouts. But, as soon as we walk out of this room, the people sent by the Emperor of Tang will definitely stare at us. How can you get away? Haha, don't worry, I was prepared before I came. Come out. Behind the screen, a man who looked 90% like Ashina and had a similar figure came out. I'm Amin, and I'm here to meet all the princes. Oh, we understand. Don't worry, this time you must find out all the cards of the immortal master. We are waiting for your good news outside the Great Wall. Jishunu and the other two princes all understood clearly at this time. It is said that the various Turkic tribes fought on their own, but their performance here clearly showed that those disagreements were just illusions. Supporting each other and understanding each other, this is the true face of the Turks when facing foreign enemies. Flags and drums were waving, people were talking, and all kinds of luxurious carriages were gathering from the city to the south gate. A long dragon that stretched for several miles gradually took shape. Civil officials above the 5th rank, military officers above the rank of lieutenant, and their relatives and families, of course, the younger generation, not children and the elderly, representatives of the gentry, the conferred lords, and the princes and celebrities. Even the autumn polo match held by the Emperor of Tang every year could not be so grand. At 11 o'clock in the morning, that is, at the beginning of noon, the entire convoy, led by the Emperor of Tang, headed for the Xinghua Fang where Nanshan was located. Of course, the Praetorian guards and the slaves and guards of each family were even more numerous. They tightly surrounded the convoy and guarded the owners of the carriages. Manager Chen, how is the preparation of the test site going? After Luo Wen told the time in the palace, he returned to the expanded Xinghua Fang base in advance. After all, to receive nearly 10,000 guests at a time, and not just for a short time, many things and preparations are actually very cumbersome. For Xinghua Fang, it is also an opportunity to test its organizational and logistical support capabilities. Reporting to the boss, the test site has been prepared long ago. Now I have sent people to add temporary stands and take corresponding protective measures. The intercom has confirmed it again and again. Luo Wen and Chen Xinwen stood at the intersection of the valley. Behind them, there was a huge parking lot on each side, but one side was full of cars with drivers, and the other side was empty, without a single person. From the official road, paved by the Tang dynasty to the valley, there is still a distance of more than 1,000 meters, and the official road, where 4 cars pass side by side, has also been widened to 8 lanes. Boss, look, the guests seem to have arrived. Chen Xinwen didn't need to point his finger. Luo Wen could stand here, because he had confirmed with his mind that they were almost there. Well, notify the convoy to start the car, and prepare for the transfer. Then notify the canteen that the food can be served. The workers' meal time will be postponed for 1 hour today, so that they can rest for 1 more hour at noon. Yes. Hello, convoy, you can start the car. Squeak. Got it. Amid the noise of electricity, someone on the other side replied to Chen Xinwen, and a team of guards ran out from the parking lot, extending from the intersection to the parking lot. These were to instruct these natives how to park, and how to transfer. boom, creak, creak, clack, clack, clack. The sound of horse hooves and dense footsteps. First the Praetorian guards led the way, then the infantry holding long spears. Behind them was the Tang Emperor's carriage guarded by Li Chengqian and Li Te, and behind them were the princes and ministers. Greetings, Immortal Master. Well, please ask the Emperor Tang and the people in the carriage to get off. The carriage will continue forward and someone will guide it. Squeak, squeak. One after another, streamlined cars painted with black paint lined up in a long line and stopped behind Luo Wen. This, Immortal Master, what kind of device is this? Why can it move automatically without livestock pulling it? The Emperor Tang and Empress Zhangsun got off the carriage. Behind the curtain, there were several pairs of curious eyes, all of whom stuck their heads out to look forward at the beautiful princess with a graceful posture and a little prince. After all, apart from the civil and military officials and the Emperor Tang, even Empress Zhangsun saw the true face of the Immortal Master for the first time. What a handsome and extraordinary young man. Emperor Tang, Empress, please. Click. This time as the host, everyone who came was a guest. Luo Wen's attitude was undoubtedly much more friendly. He personally opened the door handle and signaled the two supreme guests in gorgeous clothes to get in. Manager Chen. Tell them that every carriage should transfer here. Remember to speed up. Wash. Send someone to notify them too, and ask them to cooperate as much as possible. Immortal Master, what on earth is this? Emperor Tang took the queen's hand, bent down a little unnaturally and sat in. At first, he thought this strange carriage was a bit crowded, and the shape was also confusing, but the soft and close-fitting leather seat instantly made him like the comfortable feeling. Guanyin, what do you think? Very good. It feels very novel, and the field of vision is also very different from that in the carriage. This transparent seems to be called glass, right? Click, drive. Luo Wen sat in the co-pilot with a smile on his face, and the convoy behind him, and the surprised crowd were left to Chen Xinwen and Wash to explain. Squeak, hum. The car body trembled slightly, and then moved forward very smoothly. The flower beds and green plants on both sides of the road were even more pleasing to the eye. Different from the bumps in a horse-drawn carriage, the comfort and quietness of the car made it difficult for the ancient people not to feel extremely shocked. Amazing. It's really amazing. I don't feel anything, but the scenery outside the window is rapidly receding. What kind of magical thing is this? Your Majesty, let the Immortal Master explain it to us. Don't lose your composure. Haha, the Queen's adaptability is beyond my expectation. The Emperor Tang seems to be a little worse. This thing is a car, powered by fuel, and can carry 5 people at a time. There are also trucks and buses, each with different uses. As for speed, a Fergana horse can travel 1,000 miles a day, and such a car can match the Fergana horse for 2 days and 2 nights. Hiss this. This is too amazing. Luo Wen raised the corners of his mouth. He liked to see other people's surprised expressions that had never seen the world, not to mention that this was the Emperor Tang and the Queen. In fact, such a vague metaphor is not very correct. According to the current cement-hardened road surface, 100 km per hour is the limit. The upper limit of the mechanical meter of this batch of cars is 300 km, but there is no road condition to support it. The cylinder material used in the liquid hydrogen engine is not inferior to modern high-strength alloys. In fact, because Luo Wen spared no expense and used the array to strengthen it, it is even better. Liquid hydrogen of the same volume has reached the density of the same mass of oil, and the combustion efficiency is 3 times that of traditional gasoline. In other words, Luo Wen's improved liquid hydrogen tank, as long as it is filled with solid hydrogen fuel, can easily achieve 3 times the driving distance and a faster initial acceleration response time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.